welcome to another great episode of Culture Junkies Live. I'm your host, Kenshiro. Episode 207 is live. Today we're going to talk about the, how can I put it? The fanless quarantine WrestleMania 36 experience. But we're also going to talk about the Resident Evil 3 remake that just came out last Friday. And a myriad of other updates. In fact, we're also going to be doing something really special in our first segment. But before that, let me introduce the gentleman to my right and in front of me, GQ and the great Dadakuji. What's up, fellas?
Hey there, everybody. Everything is great. Yeah, the coronavirus is left and right, and that's that Cardi B is consistently talking about coronavirus.
Now, why are you watching Cardi B, man? We're doing a show.
I'm not watching Cardi B. She's just yelling. You can't hear her. She's always yelling.
No, that's kind of true. What's up, GQ?
Yeah, me.
Yeah. You're you? Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm the tallest person here, so.
You know, that doesn't come in handy when you got these short ceilings either. So
I don't care.
I'm going to fine being number 2. I don't have to be out in front. Number 1, get looked at. I don't need to be looked at.
Well, I don't mind being looked at.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Look at you. Don't need to look at me.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. So before we actually get too deep talking in the show, I want to send out some congratulations to our good friend, Fallen Marvel. He has joined the esteemed annals of fatherhood, just like I am in. So congratulations to him. Hopefully he'll be back and rejoin the show next week. So everybody out there in Junkie Nation, I want you guys to send your very best well wishes to him as well, if you don't mind. Any thoughts, guys? Want to say anything to?
Don't babies cost money?
Baby cost a lot of
money.
They
cost a lot of money.
But if you can afford video games, all you got to do is do one or two things. A, buy the video games when they're cheap. 2, make sure the baby eats once a day.
Wait, man, I think that's child abuse, man.
I'd rather just
give him a big food once a day.
My money for my stuff.
Well, yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah, no. Collectibles cost less than baby, so I'm good with collectibles.
No, they probably cost, for you, about the same as baby.
Well,
accumulating over time.
Exactly.
Well, no, still even then,
hey,
because you got to factor in college.
Exactly.
Right?
I have to send my collectibles to college.
Right.
Collectibles are a nice one-time purchase.
Clothing.
Price.
You don't have to buy clothing for collectibles.
Nope.
You don't have to buy them toys. Nope. You don't have to pay for extracurricular
Only
activities.
thing you got to do is dust them off.
That's right.
Again,
That's all you got to do.
They
You
can't
don't have
bathe
to feed
themselves yet.
You're right. You don't have to feed them. You don't have to wash them. You don't do none of that.
You really don't have to do much anything but buy them that one time.
Exactly.
Now, if babies were like antelopes,
they're
and
like
they
the gift
popped
that
out,
keeps on
and then
giving.
an hour later they can walk and play video games.
Hey, that'd be
interesting.
That would be interesting.
Actually, I still wouldn't want to experiment with that.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, now it's time for you to move along, kid.
Hello out there, junkies. I don't know if you guys are watching the show yet, but we'd love to hear from you in the chat.
Populate the chat. Hurry
populate
up.
the chat. Start talking so we can actually move on to the first segment. So
we're moving on to the first segment with or without. The show must go on.
Okay, show must go on. All right, so if you're hopefully get into the flow of the show as we go along, let's hit the first topic. Something brand new we're going to try out right now.
Random fandom.
Let's try that again. Let's try that again. It's not random fandom. Let's try that one more time.
Run the gamut.
900 horses of Detroit muscle.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first segment. We're calling it Run the Gamut, where we're actually going to pass around hot potato. Let's talk about some really hot topics that are running around out there in the general internet sphere, blogosphere. I don't know. GQ, what you got?
Well, the first thing that I have on Run the Gamut is going to be this little story that cropped up I saw today from Crowley, Louisiana, where apparently the police down there decided to run the purge siren as their.
Wait a minute, they got a quarantine?
Yeah, they got the quarantine, they got the curfew, and at 9 p.m., the residents of Crowley, Louisiana, heard the purge siren go off.
What?
So. Now, here's the thing. The purge siren is obviously, it's a siren that was used back in the day, so it's not like, it was made specifically for the movie. But when there's a movie series and franchise that comes out with that particular subject matter, you might want to, I don't know, just Hey, should we use this particular siren, or do you think we should use a different? Yeah, that.
That's
could
it.
could you imagine if, like, around like our city,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you just heard that go off?
Yeah.
Like, especially now with the way things are, people are panicky and worried. I ain't gonna lie to you, I might have to.
It's open season.
Might have to hit a bank or so.
Like it's open season on everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's to me, it's hilarious. It's actually very funny. I would love to see it actually happen here, just to see what would happen. But just the fact that that happened is goes to show that, like, you always need that one young person there that can override anything the old people do, because old people just don't get it sometimes.
They don't
just
get it a lot.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like you need that one young cat, regardless of what his rank is or how long he's been with the company or the police force or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You need that one person to be like, hey guys, they use that in this particular movie.
Right.
This is what that sound represents in that movie.
Right. This might not be a good idea.
Right. Maybe we shouldn't use this particular siren for our curfew.
Right.
Alert. So I thought it was funny though. So I mean that's
funny.
what I got. So,
No, that's hilarious.
all right, so I'm passing the hot potato
That's all right.
over
Over
to
to
Mr.
Dido.
Dadakuji.
Catch. Got it.
What you got?
Well, there's actually two things. One of them is big in the video game world, for me at least, and the other one's a little bit big. It could be bigger had they shown a little bit more. First thing is, Sony has released pictures of what the PlayStation 5 controller is going to look like. It does look pretty cool. It's probably the biggest change.
It looked like a batarang.
I disagree, because the PlayStation 3...
Yeah,
PlayStation 3
Remember that thing?
prototype
Remember that?
looked like a batarang.
It did look like a batarang.
100%.
Right.
This one looks more like a cross between an Xbox One controller and a PlayStation 3 controller had a baby, because it is kind of the way it's shaped. It's not shaped how the PlayStation controllers used to be shaped.
Shaped like a boomerang.
It's not like a boomerang. Xbox One controller is not like a boomerang.
It's
nothing like a fucking
closer.
boomerang.
It's actually closer to almost like an Xbox One size now.
Yeah, it seems more Xbox One-y. Like they had a kid, except for its nipples are a level. Where Xbox One, Xbox controllers always like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's comfortable when playing the game.
Yeah.
But PlayStation controllers are not comfortable when playing games at all. They've always been comfortable to me. Since they
I
first
never
came
had a
out.
problem with
But
it.
here's the thing, though. People say that a lot. It's just like
I ain't never had a problem with
I
it.
think it depends
No,
on.
I've never had a problem
I think it
either.
depends on the type of game you're playing. Like maybe a first-person shooter, maybe it works for that layout, having the analog stick offset. But like for me, it's like, okay, I'm playing fighting games. The analog sticks don't even come into play.
No.
When I'm playing an
You
action
usually use a
game.
No.
joystick, don't you?
Well,
No,
I
you
do
fighting
normally,
game
but Mortal Kombat I don't.
yeah.
Like,
Really?
Because
surprises me. Why?
because the newer Mortal Kombat's are like they were made on console. There's no arcade equivalent. So
Yeah.
like those movements, and plus everything about Mortal Kombat now is ridiculously overly combo heavy.
Oh wow.
And then like Samurai Showdown, for example,
Uh-huh.
yes, it was originally an arcade game, but none of us really that I know of had the Neo Geo, and the Neo Geo's arcade stick always
we
had
ain't
that
had bread like
goofy
that.
four
Four
straight in
button
a
layout.
row.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
A B C D.
yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna play that.
Okay, what was the
Yeah.
other? Didn't you have another gripe?
Number 2. It's not a gripe, man. This is a great. It's a great. Streets of Rage 4 is coming. And yes, I being a fan of what I like to call the best beat 'em up series ever. And yeah, looking at you, Final Fight, Streets of Rage is better than Final Fight. But 4 is coming. Brand new game, brand new graphics. The music, which I haven't heard yet, is probably going to be pretty good. But they have released that they're giving the reason why I found out not too long ago that you had a Streets of Rage remake. I bought it I downloaded a few years ago, and Sega, they wanted to kill it. And I think this is the reason why they killed it, because they knew Streets of Rage 4 was coming, and what they put in today is the classic sprites and characters. Skate's gonna be in it. Max is gonna be in it. Dr. Zan's gonna be in it. Shiva's gonna be in it. The classic sprites for Blaze, Axel, and Adam are gonna be in there with what it looks like new moves, as well as like that old police car is gonna come back. Where you
Yeah,
can
with the
shoot
bazooka.
I'm like, and they're putting in some music from Streets of Rage 1 and Streets of Rage 2. I'm a little bit disappointed.
That's what got me.
And
hyped.
I think that's cool, because Streets of Rage 2 has the best music out
It
of
does.
all of it.
Yeah, it
I
does.
still do enjoy some of the tunes from Streets of Rage 3. It may not be as popular, but Streets of Rage 3, like if you listen to Reverse Ninja or Reverse Shinobi is a boss song from Streets of Rage 3. That song is great, and it's still all done by freaking Yuzo Koshiro. So I think they should have threw some of those in there as well. It's not really a gripe. I'm excited. I already bought my copy, and
I'm
I
buying
can't
mine.
wait till
Yeah.
I think April 23rd is what I heard, but
Yeah.
I don't know if that's official because it
Yeah.
didn't say so on the video. But
I'm definitely buying mine. So so for me, so one of the things I got today for Run the Gamut is there was a book that just came out from DC Inc. It's an imprint of DC Comics, and they put out like young teen angsty graphic novels. Well, the book is called Gotham High, and it is starring get this, an Asian American, Bruce Wayne. So Thomas Wayne, yeah. So we got Thomas Wayne, who was a white guy, who wasn't the rich person. The rich person was Masha Dean, who was a Hong Kong Chinese woman who was wealthy and powerful in Hong Kong, and she actually used her money to create Wayne Enterprises.
Oh wow!
Just call her a Hong Kong Chinese woman.
Excuse me, yeah, slip of the tongue. It meant a
mean,
Chinese woman, hailing from Hong Kong. Basically, she came from Hong Kong. Married Thomas Wayne, changed her name to Martha Wayne, which is weird. Yeah, there goes that Martha thing again. But anyway, so Bruce was orphaned. Now he's at Gotham High, and he meets his childhood friend Selena Kyle, who's Latina now, and her best friend, and soon to be Bruce's best friend, Jack Napier.
Oh wow! So they actually are pulling from the '89 where they invented Jack Napier, who in that movie, spoiler alerts, and it shouldn't be too much after 30 freaking years.
Yeah, he's that guy you're wearing on the shirt.
He's the Joker.
Yeah.
And I don't think this Joker is a little bit different. I don't know if that's Jack Napier. That's the one that shot Barbara Gordon.
Hey man, there's 3 Jokers. We'll find out. We'll find out about that later. Yeah. But the other thing is that's not the only twist. So I actually wrote a piece on it on culturejunkies.net. So if you want to head over to the website and read that, please do so. But what I wrote in there is they all 3 of them are kind of in a poly relationship.
Oh boy!
Because Selena loves Jack, but she also loves Bruce. And
hey, you know, moving away from tradition. Who says you have to be? Just
no, that's true. No, but it speaks to this is a book for young people. And it's more about the representation because there's never been an Asian American Batman before. So I think
there's never been a lot of other races of Batman.
Yeah,
He's been white for the last 80 years almost. So this is obviously new territory.
Yeah, new territory.
Fine.
But I'm sure it's going to rile up some of the crowd. Whatever.
They'll be all right.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne still exists as a regular white dude.
Sure does.
You got your Christian Bale, you got your Robert Pattinson coming up soon. So I mean, it'll be all right. The white people ain't missing out.
Yeah, no. And one last thing I got. Do you have anything else for Running Gamut? No. I got one other thing. So one other thing I got is I wrote another piece on Rochelle Matthews. I want to say hello to you. But one thing that I wanted to write about.
Like a loaded hello.
Don't read more into it than there is.
Hey,
don't read more into it than there is. No.
Your whole demeanor and voice changed.
Oh my God! Shut up. Let me get through my thing. Let me get through my thing. Thank you. So
smitten.
Shut up.
Go right ahead.
Shut up. So another piece that I wrote today was on Barta. Boruto, which has been out for so technically the anime series hasn't been out for 5 years, but the anime property has been out for 5 years. Because Boruto the movie came out in 2015, and it's 2020, and they're just now starting to adapt manga chapters. It's 150 episodes later. I mean, come on. The rest of it was filler. I don't care what the hell y'all say. It's filler. I
literally stopped watching Boruto because
why?
It started getting boring. I watched up to the part where Barta and all them snuck into the Tsuchikage. I think it's Tsuchikage city. No, which is the old man?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, him.
Tsuchikage.
Tsuchikage. And he wasn't Tsuchikage anymore.
Yeah.
But they snuck into there because they were making experiments to try to have mud creatures to be like do the war and all that stuff.
I remember that storyline.
And then I stopped watching.
That's pretty much when I stopped too.
Yeah, and I was just like, it's
boring. It was boring,
extremely boring.
Yeah.
It was missing what I felt had the charm for Naruto. I mean, first off, Barta, who's a very I didn't like his character just because he was not how he looks, just how he acted. Like his dad is the most badass ninja ever, and you are the most appreciated kid. You don't really understand his responsibility. You don't understand what he went through. You don't understand what the heck his dad.
No. He's spoiled for sure.
Yeah,
he's
but like
for sure.
How do you grow up in that and not understand what your dad is. That's like your dad
see-
is Chuck Norris, bro.
But see, that's
And
the difference between Boruto and Naruto.
Yeah.
Is Naruto was not a child of privilege. Boruto is a child of privilege.
I get that, but how do you
he
still
can be
not
spoiled.
see that?
Because he's spoiled and he's sheltered. That's why he can't.
Nobody
see
sat down like his mom sat down, like, you know what, and
No.
told him stories.
No.
Like,
First off, his name is Boruto.
well,
man.
it is
Like,
kind of a dumb name. but
that alone is strike
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3.
it. Yeah,
Like he was out of the plate before he even was
I like the way you
born.
put that. He was out
This
of the
is
plate.
true.
Yeah.
It's just like Boruto. Now he's what, Naruto's son?
He's
Yes.
Naruto's son, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And like he
He
hated his
idolizes
dad because
Sasuke,
his
though.
dad didn't give him as much attention. His
He
dad,
idolizes
who is like can literally summon thousands of shadow clones. So if he got business to take care of and he needs to be there, he have a shadow clone at home.
Well, it's
And
not-
that
that's-
pisses his
that's-
son off.
But that's like the Dr. Manhattan thing. It's
Yeah.
the same thing.
It's just to
like,
me it doesn't make no sense. I mean,
No,
you
sense
to
are
me.
literally still with that person.
Not
No, it makes
really.
sense to me. It's not really him.
It's
But
not-
it is.
It's
nah,
not.
it's
But it
not.
is.
It's not.
But it is.
It's
Like,
not.
for example-
especially when they can disappear at a moment's notice.
That's the part that I don't think should be able to happen.
Well, I mean, that's a lot of concentration to keep a shadow
Okay,
clone
but
out
no,
there.
finish your thought and then we'll move on.
Okay, all right, real quick. The reason that, like, you know, it goes back to even, like I said, the reason I brought up Dr. Manhattan is the exact same thing. Dr. Manhattan was in the room working on a quantum, like, clock or something while he had, like, copies of himself, like, having sex with his girlfriend. So it's just like, she was kind of, you know, taken aback of, like, okay, it felt good, but, dude, you weren't even really there.
You're not paying
But
attention.
he is
to me.
because he's quantum. Quantum means he's everywhere all at once.
I understand
Because
you
she can
no,
only see.
Okay.
You can understand the physics and the science behind
Right.
it, but there's zero feeling in there for the
Exactly.
person, for the child, or
Exactly.
or girlfriend or whatever.
Because see, it'd be one thing if Naruto sent his clone to do the work. He's sending the clone to be with his family.
Well,
Right.
That was one of the things I would have said. It's like if you can literally do those clones where they are 100%, nobody can tell the difference. I would be the one that be going home and sending the clone to do stuff.
Right.
Right.
But
Then again,
and
like,
even though
you
it's in the
know,
writing, that guy he should been able to, first off to sustain a clone. Because if he can sustain thousands of them during a fight with heavy stress going on, he can sustain one during
You would think-
non-stressful.
and we don't know.
We-
all,
we would
but
hope
yeah,
that,
we
but I
would,
mean, that,
we would
you
hope
know,
that. We don't know that, but anyway. So if you've been skipping Boruto because it's been nonstop filler for almost 150 episodes, 5 years, 3 years, however you want to put it, now's the time to jump in because now they're going to start to adapt the manga. But
they
be
cash
careful.
grabbed already.
be careful because the filler will return. And the filler
Filler
might
always
return.
returns.
Yeah, it will return, and it might return for another 2 or 3 years before they get back to the manga. So
Well,
enjoy it while it lasts.
Okay, but at the same time, they have to. That's the problem, I think, with trying to adapt a manga that's been out or whatever. Because again, all this is to me is it sounds like Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z transition because it's the same thing.
It is,
Well,
but
technically that was Shinpuden.
yeah,
from
but,
Naruto
but
to
here's
Shippuden.
here's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Naruto makes them so much money in Japan, and then we'll move on for this. Naruto makes so much money in Japan, they literally can't afford for it not to be on TV. Like My Hero
I get
Academia,
that.
yeah, My
Yeah.
Hero Academia is a much more popular show. It takes breaks. It doesn't deviate from the manga. They animate more episodes and then come back. Naruto or Boruto doesn't get that
No,
luxury.
I get it. I mean,
you know?
look, if you got all them advertising dollars tied up,
Right.
then you ain't got no choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Alvin David says, I lost interest in the Boruto series. You're not alone. Yeah, absolutely not alone. Shirley Jackson says that's why most princes or offspring suck unless they are abandoned, i.e. Trunks. And she's right. Future Trunks. when
Well,
he was-
Kazuya's a badass.
Yeah, Kazuya too.
Kazuya
yeah.
got thrown
yeah,
thrown
Kazuya
off a
too.
cliff.
Yeah,
Had to crawl back up.
that'll harden you. That'll
Yeah.
have you face a little bit of adversity.
Little
Like
bit.
literally,
Just-
I don't
just a
want you,
touch.
punk. Get thrown you
Right.
off this mountain. Anyway, we're gonna move on to the next topic.
Fallen Marvel, just in case.
Yeah.
Just saying, when she gets older. Random fandom.
All right, we got us a little random fandom going on, and the random fandom is we're all going to kind of get caught up with each other about what we've kind of been doing the past time. COVID-19 has got all of us sheltered indoors, obviously, because that's exactly where we are, and we're coming up with creative ways to pass the time. So, Dido, what was the first? What have you been doing to pass your time during COVID-19? I know you still have to.
I've been working.
You've been working, but besides work, what have you been doing?
Well, after work I come home. I watch a television show. Maybe I've been watching a little bit of DuckTales, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I found out the new season there. I finished off what's the name of that show? Why can't I think of it right now? Ozark, which is a really good show.
I heard really good things about that.
And it's like Breaking Bad, except for the whole entire family gets involved when things start to go down. Like at first it's just the dad, and he's hiding it from the family. Then they find out, and then they're like, okay, yeah, we can all do this. And it's like, oh, really? What? And it kind of gets really effed up in the in the third season. Won't talk much about that. I've been watching that. And I've been trying to play. I was playing Shank today. Shank being a Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 game. I got it on the 360. 2D platform, pretty violent where you shoot.
I remember Shank.
Yeah, I remember Shank. That was
shoot
like what?
guns and stab people.
Wasn't that like 8 years ago?
Yeah, it probably was. And Shank 2, I got that on PlayStation 3, and I might get into that one. But that's my game of the time being until I finish that. So that's basically what I'm doing. But I'm working, and when I'm not working, I'm sleeping.
Have to deal with all them old people.
Yeah, selling drugs to the old people, man. And slanging drugs don't stop.
Slanging
just because.
I love it when he says that, slanging drugs.
Because it don't stop, man. These old people are hard-headed as shit, too, still coming in. No, there are some that call up. They be like, do you guys deliver? And where I work, we do not deliver. And no, we don't have a drive-through. You assholes have been coming into that place for an extremely long time. It ain't never been a drive-through, so why are you asking if it's a drive-through?
Because they don't know.
They thinking
How do you not know?
They thinking that maybe y'all knocked a hole in the side of the building just in case.
we
Hey, that's
did.
how drive-through started at McDonald's.
Yeah.
So, just
But
saying.
yeah, I mean that's not stopping. It's just that's basically it. My life has not changed. I am still doing what I'm doing. And I read a report today talking about essential workers and all this stuff might get, if this bill is passed, $25,000. And I'm like, well, I know for a fact that's not going to pass because why in the heck would they give anybody money to help them out? Oh, they're going to give us $1,200. $1,200 won't put a dent in anything at all.
Don't be negative.
I'm not being negative. I'm being
Negative.
realistic.
I know.
Realistic.
I know.
You know for a heartbeat.
25,000 might help you though.
Oh, that to help me in a heartbeat. No, I ain't gonna get it.
Right.
Well, you know.
Hey, I think
write your
I think you
congressman.
misspoke. I think it's 2,500.
No.
No,
25,000.
I heard about that too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I'll never pass. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with
And
you.
they're
That'll
talking,
never pass.
they're
I thought
talking
you said
about
2,500.
nurses and people who work in fast food. They're talking about anybody that's
Still working.
essential.
Yeah, still working.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
that's not gonna
That's
pass.
not
Anyway,
happening.
GQ, how are you passing the time?
Well, honestly, I got tons of physical media I can watch and play. So,
Sure.
Never be bored.
You know, here's the funny thing though. I actually ended up getting something digital the other day because,
What?
hey, PlayStation Network is running at up to I think 50% or 80% off on certain things. So I bought.
Oh, so
Doom.
they literally made you an offer you couldn't
Oh
refuse.
no, I mean I bought because here's the thing, I got Doom for the for PSN, Doom 1 and 2, and then
Okay.
and then Double Dragon or something. Like all three of those were like $3 or something.
Wow, that's good.
But-
Good deal.
But why? Because you've already got Double Dragon in other platforms.
Yeah, but it's like this way. It's like I don't. Okay, again, yes, I have it on the PlayStation Classic through various means.
Yeah.
But what if I don't feel like hooking that up? It's all right. I can just turn the PS4 on, and it's right there.
That's the original Double Dragon.
Original arcade, perfect. Just like Renegade. Remember how arcade,
Yeah.
it was like Arcade Classics or whatever, has that whole
Yeah.
section on the PlayStation Network. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I got Renegades. I was like, well, may as well have Double Dragon. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And then Doom 1 and 2 were on there. And then Doom.
What about Doom 64? Was they put that on there?
Well, no, that's a Nintendo. That's not.
It's
Nintendo.
on the Switch, but it's also on PC. So I'd assume they put it on PlayStation 4 because they put it out. It's on the PC
Maybe
or Steam, I should say.
I don't know. I mean, well, see, I can see putting it on Steam, but like that's literally putting it on their competition's platform. Not saying that that Doom 64 is exclusive or anything.
Yeah.
But, no, I was playing the first Doom last night. It's hilarious to go back and play that and see just how dirt simple that game actually was.
Yes, you shoot.
It was literally like one of those scenarios where I'm playing the game and I'm like, dude, these monsters are shooting fireballs and they're so slow. I felt like, how like Wonder Woman would be blocking bullets. Like,
Yeah.
you just literally felt like, okay, let me just strafe to the right real quick. Okay, let me just strafe to the left real. It was just like, dude, this is so, ugh. Back in the day when you were a kid, you were all panicking and shit. It's like, oh, what am I gonna do? Right, but now it's just like, oh my god, this is slow. And it was also that weird thing where like you start playing the game and it's just like, okay, I'm gonna beat this level and I'm going to sleep. So I beat the level, but I beat it faster than I thought I was going to. So I'm like, damn, I guess I played the next level. So I did that. I think I did that through 3 episodes of Doom. Like, you know how like Doom was broken up in I think like 3 or 4 different scenarios or episodes.
Yeah.
I started on 1 and played like the first couple of us. Like, all right, I'm gonna stop. I was like, well, no, that went pretty quick though. So I ended up on like the 3rd episode now by maybe 6th or 7th level into that. I'm like, this is stupid.
So anybody watching Tiger King? Shirley Jackson brought that up.
I will
Tiger
not.
King?
I refuse.
You refuse?
Yeah, because it looks stupid to me. I really don't care about anybody's lives in that aspect. I understand it's really big for people who are watching it. Those people who love reality shows that care about what's happening in other people's lives. I care about people who are friends of mine, family of mine, and the entertainment I like is fictional. I really don't like to know about this. I know that, man. I've been seeing so much.
Who is the guy though?
It was a guy and his wife and their polyamorous relationship with other people, and they bred tigers to sell for like $2,000. I'm pretty sure Mike Tyson, when he bought his tiger, probably bought it from them.
He did.
Yeah. So I mean, I hear so much about it, but also you hear about one of the husbands apparently went missing. They think that the wife killed him and fed it to one of the tigers. This is all the stuff my coworkers talk about.
Wow.
So
Here's my Here's my thing though. Nothing against people that don't want to be polyamorous. That's fine. Do your thing. However, when you get into weird scenarios like that, and yes, I'm going to call it weird. I don't care about anybody's feelings on that. When you get into weird scenarios like that, weird stuff's going to happen.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get jealous.
Yep.
Somebody's going to mess up. And if you got a bunch of tigers sitting around the house, doggone it, I'm going to cut somebody up.
Siegfried
like,
and Roy,
it's
hello.
It's going to be like Feed Me Seymour, Little Shop of Horrors all over again.
Right,
I will be
exactly.
chopping people up and feeding them to every tiger. You buy a tiger from me, you probably got a couple of ring fingers and some kidneys in there. So, I mean, it's again... But here's the thing that bugs me about that. Why is that even entertaining? There's a guy that
Some
sells
people
tigers.
like watching train wrecks.
They like
That's
watching
why.
train wrecks, trashy TV.
Yeah.
That's why friggin' all those reality shows are
The
so
Kardashians
popular. I
watch it? Yeah, that's why the
refuse to watch
Kardashians
that.
do
stuff.
it.
It's
Yes,
just
the
not something I wanna
Kardashians
do.
have attractive females on the
Yeah,
show.
that only gets you so far for so long. I can't watch that all the time.
Hey, you'd be surprised how much sex sells, man. I'm about to open an
Look,
OnlyFans.
no,
I'm about to open an
get-
OnlyFans page
so,
for
okay,
myself. Oh, hey.
So do you watch the Kardashians then?
No.
Okay, why not?
Because I don't need to. But at the same time, I can understand why something like that stays on. Because again, people have this weird fetish with watching other people do the dumb stuff that they do.
True.
And then when it's people that have money doing the dumb stuff that they do, it gives them that feeling of, oh, the dumb stuff I do isn't that bad because you can still get money and be rich and famous. It's like, no, they're rich and famous because, well, for one, Ray J and Kim had a sex tape that leaked.
Pretty much.
We wouldn't know anything about the Kardashians if it wasn't for that.
I still say the mom's behind that.
She probably is,
probably
but I
was,
mean, at the end of the day, like I said, sex sells. I'm opening on OnlyFans page, and once we leave here tonight, I'm about to start OnlyFans because apparently, no, I'm dead serious on that. Because have you seen how much like OnlyFans content is suddenly just blown up?
They're
all
blowing up
blowing up.
everywhere.
This
It's
one-
literally the adult Patreon.
Yeah,
like
this,
literally.
This one I saw her. She goes by Destiny FOMO. You can find her on freaking YouTube.
Yeah.
She confuses the heck out of me because I see her on Instagram and she's a gamer in Twitch, whatever.
Right.
And she has a massive amount of video games. And I start thinking to myself, first off, you're young. Where the hell did you get all that money to buy this? I'm talking about like my collection is a dwarf. It's a itty bitty. It's a willow compared to hers. Hers is huge. She's probably rocking like 4,000 games. And for what it looks like, she owns every single iteration of the Nintendo Switch that came out and every single game that's come out for the
Like, how
Switch.
do you get that kind of disposable
That's
money?
what I'm saying.
Like, how
and
do you
then,
get that?
like, just read about her stuff. Somebody, because like her videos, she would have videos where she would be trying on clothes, and I'm like, come on, you call yourself a gamer? Why are you using this to be? Why don't you just talk about the games? Be a game, because that's one of the things that some guys have problem with female gamers is because they use their outside looks to attract people to watch their stuff instead of just about the games. Because all the dudes that I watch about games, it's just about the games. There are some ladies out there that's just about the games, but a lot of them that are popular, it's not just about the games. And as well, somebody says she had something on low cop. It's like, why don't you just have an OnlyFans? She's like, I'm here to do what I don't have OnlyFans. I'm just here to do, be me and be, blah, blah, blah. 2 days later, I found out she has an OnlyFans. Like, she just started one. And I'm just like,
Because here's the thing.
and I get what she's doing, 100%.
Right at this point, especially now, it's a license to print money.
It is, because
It
people
is.
are printing, and I was just like,
Dude, can you imagine what would happen if Pure Ruby 87 got one? Got
She
OnlyFans?
doesn't have a OnlyFans. She has something like that.
What's yeah?
It's some other one. Because remember, she's from Italy, so
Yeah.
that's the worst place to be right now.
Absolutely.
Y'all got great lasagna, but I mean, like, I forgot what it's called. It's one of the other ones, basically.
Research purposes. I need to find out.
Have
Yeah,
fun.
Research purposes.
yeah, it is. It's just, it's wild to me. Wild.
But no, the whole OnlyFans thing is crazy, man. Because it's like when Patreon started kicking off, cosplayers that like to do lewd cosplays, like they needed to find somewhere else to go, and OnlyFans was like, hey, business opportunity. We're not going to kick you off. Make money.
That's what Scrooge McDuck says on the new freaking DuckTales is find a problem and find a way to solve it. And that's how you make money. It was a problem, and then somebody solves it.
So anyway,
DBL King out of the chat, it says he routinely goes back to old games he couldn't beat as a kid. For him, it was Justice League Task Force on the Super Nintendo.
Well, that's cool.
I remember that game.
I remember that game too. But I
game.
was a teenager, so him being a kid and couldn't beat it. Okay, I guess I understand that.
happens.
Yeah, I can understand that. So anyway, the way I pass time this week is I spent I upgraded my computer and went through and built a brand new. Yeah, I don't care. Call me a nerd. That shit is fun, man. So for the better part of a week, I spent building a new computer, put in a 2080 Super, in an i9 99K, 9900K, 32 gigs of RAM.
In my pants.
Yep. Water cooled, Hydro X parts from Corsair are all RGB. Boy, it's blinging. It's nice. It looks really, really nice. I put on the fan page, if you want to go and look at it, I actually put up a video of when I first powered it on, so you can see the loop actually looping through everything, running the water through all the parts and stuff like that. You know what? I wish I had done that. I didn't have the room in order to do the whole time lapse thing, and you didn't want to see me doing the time.
Hold on.
Wait. I didn't have the room.
You know how time lapse works, right? You know how time lapse works.
Yeah,
right?
but I didn't have the setup. I didn't have the whole setup. I didn't have my camera. I didn't have everything I needed. Basically, I would love to do that. Like, so if anybody wants me to build him a system, I will build it. Like, if you fund it, I will build it for you. We'll do a time lapse.
In other words, Kenshiro was saying his time lapse would have took like 45 hours. Apparently, he was taking some time to put his computer together. So I'm just saying.
Something like that. Anyway, so besides that, I've just been, trying to watch here and there. I found a YouTube channel called 1980 Sports that actually has a whole bunch of old 1980s sports games, full games. So and it comes complete with commercials. So like I was watching like a lot of the old McDonald's commercials. There was here's a brand that I haven't heard of in forever, but used to be all around back in the 80s during the sports things. Prudential as like a financial institution.
Oh yeah. They were the ones with the Rock or something like
Rock,
that.
yes, dude. Yeah. That I don't see them anymore. I don't know what happened, but
out of
they
business.
were everywhere.
They probably got bought up or merged with somebody.
Yeah, probably so. They were everywhere back in the 80s. So it was very interesting seeing those commercials and watching those old games.
What about them old Franklin Mint commercials?
I did not see those.
Hawking the most expensive, ridiculous stuff ever.
Yeah, I did not see those.
Get this chess set for $5.99.
Yeah.
We'll send it to you piece by piece. I'm like, shut the hell up. If I give you $500, you better give me the whole chessboard and come out here and polish that thing on the weekly.
Right. So anyway, reading through the comments, we're seeing what everybody else did for COVID-19 to pass time. When we get back to the power is yours, we'll kind of revisit some other things that you guys want to talk about. But for right now, we're going to
topics ready.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to the next topic this week in gaming. Kind of jumped the gun there. Sorry, that's okay.
Hey everybody, we are back. Oh,
Culture Junkies!
Somebody forgot to put that in there. But hey everybody, we're back from this week in gaming, and this week we have some very interesting games in there. I know we all have either played them or not played them. Boxing games, for me, I stopped playing boxing games after Super Punch Out. I'm sorry. Those were fun. Punch
Fight
Out,
Night
Super
was
Punch Out.
It
might have been great, but it's realistic.
It was fun.
I prefer non-realism.
I love the controls. The
sports
controls were
games.
great.
It probably is.
Because you use the analog stick to throw all your punches.
Yeah.
So it was fun. No, Fight Night was fun. I wish it would come back. Honestly, that's me.
I mean, there's always room for games that are simulation.
Mm-hmm.
There's always room for them. But I have to take that back. Not a Super Punch Out. Ready to Rumble. Remember Ready to Rumble?
Yeah.
That's probably the last boxing game I played. But, the last game that was shown is a game I want to sink my teeth into because I started playing it.
You've never played it?
No, I have. I started playing it.
Okay.
I haven't finished it.
Of course.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
It's in my list to when I get to it. For those who do not know, I play video games right now. I have a list of games that I started playing that I haven't finished. I put them into a randomizer. When I finish one game, I hit the random, and the next game pops up. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you'll see these videos pop up periodically because that's kind of how I need to do it in order to play these games because you get overwhelmed. I'm sorry, I feel overwhelmed sometimes because I sit there like, oh, what game do I want to play? I don't know. Let me finish the stuff I started. So that's one of them. There's another game that I wish Sony would have kept going for whatever reason before God of War, and maybe around the same time. I don't know which one came for. You had the Cree series, which was also a pretty violent video game. I don't think it was as well produced as God of War, but over time they could have made it.
I never played Rise of Kasai. I did play Cree.
I have Rise of Kasai.
I loved Cree. It was great.
Cree was good. Didn't beat it. Played it. Didn't finish it. Sorry. It happens. But I also bought Rise of Kasai as well because, if I'm going to have one of them, I'm going to have the other one. Mm-hmm. And I really do wish that Sony would have made more with that game. It's like, they kind of just pushed away. They brought in Kratos.
But
it's fine.
That wasn't them. That was just another studio, right?
No, it's a Sony game, dude. I don't know if Sony Studios did it because if you think about it, God of War wasn't done by Sony Studios. Mm-hmm. But it's a Sony game because Sony, for the most part, don't really. I mean, they own a lot of studios now. They've been acquiring them over the years, like Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
But
I think the thing though with Marco Cree, the look of the game was somewhat. I mean, it was cartoony a little bit. So I think having him be like extra, it's like yes, you could have done a God of War type thing in that style, but I don't think it would have had as much of an impact as how God of War is actually done.
And that's kind of what I wish it was something that they could have. They came out with the first one. It was not a bad game. I like the control of it because you set the character to your buttons, and I think that was kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
They've never done anything like that. And again, from my understanding, but it's just they could have two because they had Jack and Daxter, and then they also had what's that other one that I like so much?
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank. Those are like they're very similar games. Well, after the first Jack and Daxter, you had guns in them. They were a platformer, and they were able to live together. They also had Sly Cooper, which is another platform.
Yeah.
They were able to live together. They could have had Kratos, and they could have had
Marco Cree.
whatever the hell his name was. It Rao? I forget his name.
I
I mean,
forget
sorry,
his
that's
name, too. I think it was
No,
Rao.
yeah.
I think it was Rao. They could have had them both simultaneously.
They could have.
and improved on because they improved on God of War. Every time new God of War came out, they improved on it.
But
they could have done the same
I think
thing.
at the end of the day, though, God of War just took the world by storm.
It did.
Because Mark of Cree sold, but it didn't sell God of War
No, it
levels.
was not at all.
It's really one of those. Okay, let's say we got $4 million to make a game. Let's see. God of War brought us in $30 million when it came out, and Mark and Cree brought us in $4 million.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. I just think they could have both been parallel.
Yeah.
But
They probably could have, but I think if and again, like you said, who knows which exact studio did it? But if it's, let's say they were the same studio.
well, I know which one
yeah.
you're gonna pick if it's
Yeah.
the same studio. You can pick God of War. Moving on to the next game that I really, really enjoy is Ikaruga. Tony Young out there, you're 100% right. Ikaruga was great. It's not as great as Radiant Silvergun. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Radiant Silvergun
Ikaruga was notoriously hard, though.
Yeah,
right?
it was very hard because of that flipping back and forth I enjoyed it. A lot of people say it's like the spiritual successor to Radiant Silvergun. It's not.
Yeah,
It's not at all. Radiant Silvergun is a completely
They're just the
different
same
style
company.
of game.
It's the
It
same
is
company,
because
yeah.
Treasure.
Yeah.
Treasure.
Treasure is legendary.
Almost
man.
all
They
the
are.
games they make is great. I don't think.
Yeah. They don't make that.
Stretch
games.
Panic, I think, is probably the only game I can think of that's not. I wouldn't say bad, but just didn't do anything.
Right.
But outside of that, almost every single. It was a time where I wanted to buy every single Treasure game, and I did a pretty good job, except for Alien Soldier. At the time, I said I'm not paying $70 for a video game at all, and I refused to. I own a copy through the Genesis collection that came out, so I can play it anytime I want to, but I don't have a physical copy, what have you. But Ikaruga was one of those games that you would sit down there, and these shumps over the years started to get really stupid hard, because not only is it bullet hell, you got to flip back and forth between the two colors. So
Well, it was a bullet hell with a rhythm game hidden in there.
yeah, it was. You see the dude that was playing one-handed, two-player, and was managing not to get hit? I'm like, yes. One-handed, two-player, and flipping back and forth between the two things and just murdering the game.
What?
Okay,
Yeah.
because think of it
That's
this
got
way.
to be tool assisted somehow.
Not necessarily,
It
because
was on arcade.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing: you have to always remember, shumps are basically rhythm games in disguise, because think about it. Every single boss has a pattern of bullets that he's going to fire. It's the same as learning a song. You need to know when to hit what notes or when to shoot or do whatever. So it's the same concept behind it. So I think anybody that's really good at playing an instrument could probably be really good at playing Ikaruga.
Yeah, it probably was. I mean, all of them got to learn something. If you think about it, just when it comes to even combos and fighting games, if you got because Tekken 2 is a perfect example. Back when I was playing it, when you were hearing those beeping and when you got that going in your head, it just, you keep doing it. So whenever somebody screws up, then beep, 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 beep.
Yep.
If you were to train yourself like that, I really wish that they kept that up.
They
with
should
Tekken.
have, man.
They
because
really should have.
Even the updated one they put in Tekken 7 recently still isn't that
Not as good as
It's
Tekken
not
2.
as good as the Tekken 2 one was perfect.
That's when I was learning everything. That's when I knew King and how to do all his freaking.
Dude, that was the only
tangents,
way to learn
whatnot.
King, dude. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like doing that was the only way to learn.
Yeah, I wish I
Like,
remember.
for
I don't remember his stuff.
So, for me, one game I would love to talk about is kind of the spiritual successor of Alan Wake was Quantum Break. It wasn't well received, is from what I well remember.
Most games like that don't seem to be well received.
And I don't know why. That was like very sci-fi heavy. It seemed pretty cool. It had a pretty cool premise, but I don't want to say that being an Xbox exclusive, Windows exclusive, hurt it, but because Alan Wake seemed to do pretty good as Xbox exclusive. But why do you think those kind of games don't do well? Like, what is it about them?
I think it's just because they come out on a piece, or they come out on consoles, and console gamers nowadays are heavily focused on first-person shooters.
Okay.
And those who aren't is, kind of like fighting games and whatnot. Everything else kind of falls behind. First-person shooters are just king, period. And that's what. And that's majority of Xbox players are heavily first-person shooter.
Yeah, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Apex Legends, Fortnite.
Yeah.
That's all they play.
It's huge. And those type of games, remember back in the 90s, though they weren't the same, they were very similar. I won't say they're point-and-click games, but they're close to being point-and-click adventure games.
Like Maniac Mansion?
Well, you said Alan Wake. Alan Wake was almost like, what's the name of that game? Oh, come on. Ooh, people credit it to Alone in the Dark. Yeah, Alan Wake was like that, if I remember correctly. Because I'm thinking of games like Detroit or friggin' Indigo Prophecy. Stuff like that. Because I think those.
Quantum Break wasn't like that. And Alan Wake wasn't like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I got those two confused, Max, because it's more like, but still, it's just those type of games nowadays, people don't really, from my understanding, what I feel, and this may not be true, that most people don't really care too much about single-player experiences. Every once in a while, you get your Spider-Man, you get your God of War, you get those, and they, people like, I'll take time for my first-person shooter, shoot-em-ups to play these games. But for the most part, those games just fall underneath the radar, and they can be great and fun. People just don't care about them. Because, like, Yakuza, I've been raving about Yakuza forever, and they continue to keep bringing them out over here, and they're great. And I think in this room, I'm the only one that's played Yakuza
That's
series.
not true. I played Yakuza 0. I started playing it, because I got it for free. I enjoy it. I think it's
The game
it's
is
fun.
freaking great.
I
The
think
series
it's fun.
is amazing.
It's like
dude.
it's almost like a beat 'em up
RPG.
Shenmue. Yeah, it's like a beat 'em up Shenmue.
Yeah,
really, to me,
it
'Cause,
is.
like Shenmue isn't a beat 'em up. Yakuza is a beat 'em up, but it's essentially almost just like Shenmue.
Yeah,
You know?
except for you can do way more than what you can do in Shenmue.
Hell yeah.
Way more. And I'm telling you, if you like Zero,
Yeah.
you'll like the rest of them. Because I started playing Yakuza back on PlayStation 2.
Mm-hmm.
And when I played that game, I got to a point where I could not get past this.
No, it wasn't. It's not Zero. Is it
Kiwami?
Yeah,
that's
the
the original.
remake
remake of the
original.
original one.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, did you have to play Mahjong? Because there was this one mission that you could not. It was part of the story that you had to freaking beat somebody in Mahjong in order to progress. They must have took that out because in the original one, I did not know how to play Mahjong. I had to learn how to play Mahjong to beat this freaking mission, and it made me fall in love with Mahjong. I bought a Mahjong video game for the 360. It came out, and I was playing people with Mahjong online with people.
Yeah.
I bought a Mahjong set, a physical set that I got.
used to play Mahjong on,
and I don't mean
old
that
Windows 3.1.
I don't mean that matching one.
Yeah.
I don't mean that. Mahjong is like gin rummy, where you have a hand of stuff. You play with 4 other people, and you got to create sets to create a hand in order to win. And gosh, I had to freaking learn that stuff just to beat. And I fell in love with Yakuza. Now I haven't played Yakuza 4 yet, and there's a reason for it because when I finished up 3, I wanted to play 4, but I wanted to finish the games I haven't started yet. So I'm not going to start a game. Mm-hmm. It's just
Tony
hard.
Young is saying Yakuza is what the bouncer should have been.
Shoot, people are saying Yakuza is what Shenmue should have been because even Shenmue 3 that came out, as much as I still like the Shenmue series, Shenmue 3 is Shenmue, but it's a game that's out of its time because that was the game that before Grand Theft Auto, before anybody did it, before Yakuza, Shenmue's out.
You could do open world shit in Shenmue.
And nobody did that stuff before, but now everybody's done it, and they've done it better. Exactly.
Yeah, and they're doing it better. Yeah. So another game that I think GQ and I both really love, Tomb Raider Legend. Tomb Raider Legend was
sorry, I haven't finished it.
Yeah, Tomb Raider Legend was the return of Laura back to being on top
greatness,
and being good.
That was like that was like where they completely kind of remade the game. This was after all the bad controls. Yeah, after all the bad controls.
Was this before or after the remake?
Before the remake.
This was before the remake.
Okay.
Yeah, this is before the remake.
This particular engine is what.
No, when I say remake, I don't mean the new one.
Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah, not that one because they actually took the original Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
and made
the reason they redid that one is because Legend did so well.
Yeah.
They were like, oh dang, this actually works. Let's redo the first one.
And they basically put them together as a trilogy. Tomb Raider Legend was the first Origin where you kind of went back to Lara's original outfit in the past was part 2, and then part 3 was what was the name of part 3? I forget. It was Tomb Raider
Anniversary or something like that.
No, it wasn't Anniversary. I forget which one it was.
It existed.
It existed. It to me that one wasn't as good as Legend and Tomb Raider Anniversary, but Tomb Raider Legend was an absolutely fantastic game. Like from top to bottom, the story it told, the mechanics. I love that little hook thing that Laura had as like a
grappling hook.
Yeah, the little grappling hook thing. I thought that was great. The puzzles were awesome. So everything about Tomb Raider Legend was just phenomenal. If you've never played Tomb Raider Legend, you really should. You really should. It was a great Tomb Raider game.
I'm gonna finish it. I think it's in my list.
Yeah,
I believe it is.
All right, so that was This Week in Gaming. If you do enjoy the This Week in Gaming videos, I've actually brought it over to Facebook. It's going to be launching this Sunday as a series of videos right here on Culture Junkies, so you'll be able to watch it on Facebook Watch, and new episodes will drop every Sunday at 12 noon, so make sure you watch out for it. Moving on to the next topic. All right, so Resident Evil 3 came out last week, and it's been getting some pretty good reviews, but some interesting negative ones. What do you say about that, Dido? What are you hearing?
Well, I'm very surprised. As you guys may know from me, I did not buy Resident Evil 3. I will buy it when it hits my price point because it will. And it may sooner than later. Like, for example, I just got Mortal Kombat 11 for $18, and that was with the tax. And I love doing stuff like that. To me, it's awesome. But regardless of that, I was very surprised on some of these reviews because
One of them is in the chat right now. DBLK Inc. is saying
it's
short.
Yeah, they're saying that it's too short. It's they have taken out two parts of what was in the original one. It was a clock tower and a park, which I played that game over 20 years ago, and I don't remember it. I'm sorry, I don't. But and they're also saying that Nemesis is not as random as he should be. Like, they took out the choice of fight Nemesis or like enter the police station or something like that. And they took that out completely, and that, like, people hardcore fan, I can't stand that. I mean, okay, whatever. But there's like they don't like that. And also people are saying that they think Mr. X from Resident Evil 2 remake is more Nemesis than Nemesis is. And I can't personally say that because I played the demo.
Disrespect.
Yeah, I played the demo. I think they did a good job with the demo. You know, the original Resident Evil 3, from my understanding, was also short because it wasn't intended to be Resident Evil 3. It was supposed to be like a side story. Yep. And the only reason it got the 3 is because some deal with Capcom and Sony to keep the numbered series on PlayStation at the time, because Code Veronica was supposed to be Resident Evil 3. It was the actual progression of the story in the Resident Evil. That was supposed to be 3, but it didn't happen that way. So that's kind of why it's short. I don't understand bad reviews in that aspect. To me, a review should be bad based on if the gameplay sucks, if the graphics suck, if the music makes your ears bleed, if something of this sort like that. How are you going to give a bad review on a game because it's short? Did you have fun in that short period of time?
But if it's not enough for them,
then play it again.
Exactly. I mean, here's the thing. The game is the game, period. Like, whether or not you think it's short or not, I think a lot of people found it short because guess what? You don't have to worry about going to work tomorrow. So you play through it and you blaze through it because you are in quarantine. What else are you going to do? So to me, when I look at it this way, if a game gives you, let's say, 15 hours worth of play for that type of game, then I think you got your money's worth. In my opinion, that's what? That's like $4 an hour or whatever, you know. There's very few things you can do for fun for $4 an hour. But I mean, in all honesty, like Dido said, the game is short. It has always been short. The original one was supposed to be a side story. It wasn't supposed to be a full-fledged game. Now, if they do Resident Evil Code Veronica remake and that ends up being like really, really short, okay, then now I got a problem because that original game wasn't short. But, well, you know, whatever.
Well, honestly, this is kind of a byproduct of the increased production value of the game. I mean, like, look, we said it from the demo. The game looks gorgeous. Yes. Like, the environments, the character models, everything, its sound design, everything. That takes a toll on the amount of data that you can pack in on the disc. So, you're going to have to cut something because this isn't like PlayStation 1 era where a lot of that stuff could fit on a very finely pressed PlayStation CD disc.
Oh, no, back when it was multiple discs.
Right. It was
Resident Evil 2
right.
Yeah, Resident Evil 2 was a 2-disc game.
Right.
Obviously, none of the other ones were.
Right.
Because you were moving up by
But still, they didn't want to do that this time around. And that's exactly why a game that's getting ready to come out on Friday, and some people already have it, Final Fantasy VII Remake, is not multiple discs right out the gate. They still haven't finished the full game. They got to release one chapter of it. They can't do the whole thing like it used to be. So
it's gonna be weird though.
It is gonna be weird.
That's the new systems are gonna drop, and it's gonna be like, are y'all about to put this on 2 different sets now?
Right?
Because you know, I ain't trying to see like the dumbed down version. If y'all can go ahead and PS5 it, y'all better PS5 it, and then I guess I'll get Chapter 2 on the PS5.
You know what they're gonna do?
They're gonna re-release.
It's gonna be all on one like set for PlayStation 5, Xbox, whatever the hell the damn thing is called. And
it's too late. I already
Steam.
put my money in. I can't.
And that's why I canceled my pre-order as soon as I found out. And this was a few years ago when I found out there was gonna be episodic. I was like, no, not doing it because
You want that Game of the Year complete edition?
Yeah,
huh?
because you know you do it.
No,
I'm willing
I
to
understand
wait.
that. Yeah,
I'm
no,
willing to wait.
right.
It's just
And there's something to that. I get you. For something of that nature, that where it's that big of a game, it looks that good. I mean, what's another 4 or 5 years? You waited this long, right?
Yeah, sure did.
Hold on. DBL King says, if leaks are to be believed, Resident Evil 8 Village is coming in early 2021.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Resident Evil 8 Village.
It's called Resident Evil Village, and the VI. I don't know how they did it, but in the word village, they put out the 8, kind of like they did in Resident Evil 7. Yeah, that's supposed to be. They released some stuff about that, and I think Chris Redfield is coming back with a redesigned face again. How do they keep redesigning somebody's face? I mean, it's a video game. It's fictional. Why can't they keep the same face?
It's probably modeled after something, or either that or they looked at the model and like, you know what, we can improve this because of the improvements in polygon 3D modeling and all that other sort of thing. Because a lot of people were mad about Jill's face because they said she didn't look like whichever actress or whatever they had modeled her after.
I don't want to wait.
I thought she did. I thought she did. But what does it matter? I mean, come on, man. You gonna get that hung up on that? Really?
People find everything to complain about. You
This
know how
is
that
true.
works.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they do. Right. I mean, because literally, like you said, the game overall it was a great experience for a lot of people that said that they played it. They enjoyed it. So you're saying, if you're gonna nitpick and say, oh well, the game's too short, really, you're gonna knock it for that? The game is the game.
That's what I'm saying.
The game is the game.
I like to understand that. I don't understand bad reviews,
and I guess
based on that.
It's probably handcuffed because the people that are giving these reviews played the original and they remember what was in the original, so they're a little bit biased to say, oh well, what about this part? I love that part of the game and it's not in there, so I'm gonna knock it.
But see, the thing is, reviews have to, if you're going to do a truly unbiased, truly subjective review, you have to take what's in front of you as what you're reviewing. You can't bring in old baggage to your review. Yes, you can make comparisons and contrast and compare and all that other sort of thing, but that should not affect the score of the game. It's like the game that you have in front of you is what you're supposed to be judging. Not, yes, it's a remake of an older game, but it's supposed to be an updated graphic reimagining of that original game.
Right.
Because if it's beat for beat the exact same game, why bother playing it besides, oh, it looks prettier?
We've had that before, haven't we?
of course.
Yeah, which game?
Panzer Dragoon.
Yeah, Panzer Dragoon did that. Somebody else did it, where it was literally beat for beat, and they didn't change anything, and it was just.
I mean, technically, Mario All Stars did that, but I mean, the appeal of that was getting lost levels because we obviously had never had lost levels over here, but. They made it look better because, again, it was on the Super Nintendo.
Right. Better too.
Yeah, well, no, they probably tightened up controls, too.
Yeah.
I mean, at least with that, they tweaked some stuff that needed to be tweaked, and obviously, like you said, the bonus was getting, the real Mario 2, not,
right.
the Donkey Donkey Panic repaint.
USA.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So, I mean, so the recap being that the game is great overall, but being short, I mean, honestly, when you got Final Fantasy VII Remake getting ready to come out the next week, shouldn't you be thankful that it's...
Bad money, they're going to be complaining about that, too.
Oh, they will.
Of course.
They will.
DBL King over on YouTube was saying that he thought what they did with Carlos and Nikolai in the game was really cool, though.
Okay.
So he thought that they did a good job with their interpretation and how they presented.
I'll tell you when I'm able to get it. I got to keep my eyeballs on that cheap-ass gamer because GameSpot's going to drop it. One day it's going to be $20.
Did you get Kingdom Hearts 3 yet?
Yeah, I got it for $13. A little bit pissed that it was $9.
I
managed to get it for 13, and I thought 13 was good. Then I saw 9. I was like, oh God, I should have waited just a little bit longer. But you never know.
Because you haven't played it yet, right?
Yeah. No, I haven't. And I love Kingdom Hearts 2. I thought Kingdom Hearts 2 was
it was phenomenal.
They didn't come out with trophies back then, but I would have platinumed that game because I got everything in it, and I loved it. And I just don't want to start it until and I'm not going to say, because I did play through Shenmue 3 when I came out, and I stopped playing my games, and I beat Shenmue 3, and I was playing something else.
So certain things on your list
It
will
just
automatically
depends.
jump to the front?
If something comes through.
Hold on. Did it end on a cliffhanger like too?
Yes.
For real?
Yes.
Oh, come on, dude.
Of course it did.
Yep. I'm going to be 90 years old when I play Shenmue 4.
My man ended it on that cliffhanger in part 2 and came back, 17, 18 years later?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, dude.
You know what it is, and the main thing is that it was this, because it's Sega, and they put so much money into it that
Man,
I think that was.
Can we get old Sega back, man?
It would be great, but
can we get old
I think
Konami back?
I think Shenmue has something to do with the downfall of Sega, though, because
Yeah,
at the
that
time
was a lot
it was
of
the
money.
most expensive video game ever produced.
Well, here's the thing. Because when the original Shenmue came out in what, 95?
No.
Or
Original
94?
Shenmue, it was in development in the 90s. It was supposed to be out in the Sega Saturn.
Okay,
But it didn't
that's
come
what
out
it
to the
was.
Dreamcast
That's
until
what it was. 'Cause
2000.
I remember hearing about Shenmue when I first went away to college, and I'm just like, and I was just, there with my roommate and friends and whatnot, and it was just like, they want to do how many chapters of this thing?
Right.
18.
Like, it's like, no, dude. It's like,
Yeah.
You are not going to get all those out on one system. That's going to be literally going across generations, and it's just like, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
Right.
And lo and behold, it kind of didn't really work. It's
Right.
like, dude, cliffhanger on 2, and then 17 years later, because of Kickstarter and stuff.
Like, who was the Sega president that greenlit that shit?
I would like
Well,
to.
it was a
Right.
very ambitious game, but like
I don't see ambition is fine.
Yeah.
But sometimes you gotta
temper
have
that
that. You gotta have that young guy in there that can't
Yeah.
get fired. Be like, guys, 17 installments.
Yes.
I don't know.
You're gonna have to do
That's a
bit
little
better
bit
than that.
much. You might, if you can get 1 through 5 in one release, then cool. But
Right.
17 is pushing it.
It's trying to be the
Let's-
trying to be the Star Wars of video games.
Right.
What the hell?
Let's bring it back a little.
Yeah,
bit.
let's walk that back a little bit. Anyway, so that was the Resident Evil 3 recap. In fact, if you have more to say about it, this very next segment is the perfect time to do it. Hit it, shorty.
The power is yours!
All right, so the power is yours, everybody. So we've talked about a lot today. Let's talk about what you want to talk about. Everybody out there, lead the chapters. Lead the conversation. So let's see. DBL King says, "I really want Dreamcast 2. Dreamcast was the best."
Dreamcast 2 exists. It's called the
What?
Yeah, it's called the Microsoft Xbox. No, I'm not joking. A lot of people don't know that when the Dreamcast died, Sega was in talks with Microsoft to have the original Xbox be backwards compatible with the Dreamcast, but they had to not have network capability in Dreamcast games, and Sega didn't want that to happen, so that kind of fell through. But if you look at it, look at all the Sega games that came out on the original Xbox that were exclusive. Panzer Dragoon Order, Crazy Taxi 3, Otogi 1 and 2. It was the original Xbox was technically the second coming of the Dreamcast, and not a lot of people know that.
I don't know. I mean, like, Sega makes a lot of weird decisions, man.
They sure do.
Sega,
I told you that about that young guy that you said to have in the room. I wish I was that young guy to talk to that president that when Nintendo freaking backstabbed Sony.
Yep.
And Sega was next up in line with Sony, I'd have been like, you need to friggin' work with them. You need to work with them because they will get you to where you need to be. And they would have crushed Nintendo. There would have been no Sony. And we'd be playing the PlayStation 4 right now, Sega PlayStation.
Yeah, it could have been.
Tony Young's like, "Where's the next Dragon Age?"
They refuse to do a Sonic Adventure 3. Yeah,
At this point, they probably should.
They should.
Yeah, they really should.
Hold on. He says it's an easy layup. I don't know about that.
Well, it depends on who's making it. Now, the thing is that there's huge Sega community out there, Sonic community, I should say. And those people, they really put their foot in games. And I think there is a community out there that is trying to make Sonic 06 good. Now, if they are successful at making Sonic 06 good, then maybe Sega should allow them to do Sonic Adventure 3.
All right, creator has no desire to do it, and that's probably a big part of
Right.
it.
Fallen Marvel says, "I want Capcom to work on updating their other IPs. Where's my Onimusha?"
I agree, bro.
Onimusha got it. Hold on, we'll get to Onimusha in a second. Hand of Omega says he wishes he was that young guy at Lucasfilm, which that's fair. That's fair. But no, back to Onimusha. Onimusha was, of course, re-released in quote-unquote HD or
It's
whatever.
the original game, though. They didn't even
Yeah.
update it like the other stuff.
Yeah.
No, I know, which was sad.
That goes back to what we were talking about. Games that got the remake and
Yeah,
just
that,
they
yeah, that
didn't
was.
change nothing.
But see, that wasn't a remake though. That was literally, like he said, just porting it over.
Okay, so technically, all right.
And the thing is, Onimusha was tied up into that one particular actor. That one particular actor's likeness was the reason
he
that
die?
he did. But that was a big part of like why his estate, I guess his estate was holding up any progress on anything related to that game. I'm like, man, F you. We about to find another dude then. We about to find somebody else to be the protagonist of this game.
Wait a minute, Hannah Omega. Forget new games. They should just make CG movies from these properties. Onimusha would be a sweet movie. Look, we've already had this CG movie discussion. Warcraft.
I didn't see Warcraft in that.
Final Fantasy, The
Warcraft
Spirits
was not
Within.
bad. Because here's the thing. Warcraft is such a huge IP. There's so much involved in it. It's just like, for me, I'm like, okay, I don't really care about Warcraft. So I'm watching a movie looking at the technical aspects of what they did.
Dark
It was
Side,
interesting.
yes.
The further adventures of pixelated Jean Renault.
I think they should do have a new Darkstalkers game. I don't know why in the heck Capcom is just okay. Street Fighter is great. Don't get me wrong. It is good, but Darkstalkers made you some money back in the day, and they made
In the
sequels
arcade,
here.
though.
Yeah,
The
not telling me
arcades
they didn't
don't
make it
exist
at
no
home.
more.
Not
No,
really.
Not really.
Really?
No.
You got to remember, Darkstalkers was that weird. Darkstalkers in the arcade got played because, again, it was in the arcade.
It was a
Everything
Street
got
Fighter
played.
clone.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything got played in the arcade. No,
Right.
Darkstalkers wasn't really so much a clone because Darkstalkers is the reason you have chain combos and some other
In
stuff
Alpha,
in
most
Alpha.
definitely.
So Darkstalkers was actually the Alpha prototype, so to speak, for a lot of stuff. But when it really comes down to it, in the arcades back then, you could have multiple IPs out there doing their thing because if you're in an arcade game and you're popular, the arcade owner's going to keep that machine in there for as long as they can. You're going to continue to make money off of it. But Darkstalkers on the home front, I don't think it was quite as popular because if you remember, it was not as good on the PlayStation.
No,
It just wasn't.
I had that. I mean, I don't think it was that bad.
But it's
But the loading times killed it,
The
dude.
loading times killed it, and the loss of animation because that
Yeah.
game was animation heavy.
It
That was a big draw
was
to it.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And so when you had to cut all those frames just to get it to work, it was like, I'm not playing the same game. It feels for me when I first played it because I don't think I've ever actually bought Darkstalkers on the PlayStation.
I have it.
But no, I played it though, and that's the reason I didn't buy it because I had played it beforehand, and I didn't like the all the cut frames and all the loss of animation and
It was a launch
stuff.
game.
I don't think so.
I don't think
think
it
so.
wasn't.
Sure.
No,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I
The,
don't
the
think
first
so.
fighting game on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, was the original Mortal Kombat 3.
Well,
That
and
was-
also Battle Arena Toshinden.
Yeah, and Toshinden. Toshinden was another freaking awesome game that needs to be remade. But
DBL King is absolutely right. The Dreamcast had them beat on those arcade perfect.
Oh, yeah.
no,
translations.
the Dreamcast was an
Yeah.
arcade machine, basically.
Yeah, basically.
So I mean that was a big part of why, like when you play in some of those PlayStation games, if to me playing Darkstalkers on the PlayStation versus playing it on other platforms or of course in the arcade felt the same as disappointment I had when I first played Super Nintendo Killer Instinct. It was just like, are you really saying that this is supposed to be the fill-in for what I was just playing in the arcade 20 minutes ago? Hell no. No. Can you imagine Last of Us as an arcade game?
no.
What?
No.
Have fun with whatever you're drinking over there, sir.
He's kind of always diving off the deep end, dude. Last of Us could not be an arcade game unless they made it a stupid freaking gun shooter. Because
It could be a rail shooter.
yeah, rail shooter.
Okay, you
That'd
can
be
make
the
it a
only
rail
thing they
shooter.
could
All right,
do.
so we gonna let Head Over Mega.
Wouldn't that just be House of the Dead?
But dude, they've done that before. Not just
There's-
House of the Dead.
There's a Castlevania arcade game
Yeah.
like
Dude, this
that.
shit was fun, dude.
Yeah, the game is extremely
This
fun.
shit was fun.
Oh, you
man.
played it at Galloping Ghost?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that game is all sorts of fun.
Yeah.
and it's one of those like stuff like that would have kept like GameWorks and around.
Yes.
Or Dave and Buster's of course is still here, but Dave and Buster's and even Round One to a certain extent is very much
I
a
like
bunch
this
of
question.
like games of chance. Go ahead.
Hannah Omega's like, if arcades became big again, which console games could you see there, or which ones could or could not be? That's a great question. If arcades ever became big again,
Well, your fighters would be back there.
yeah, your
because
fighters would definitely be there.
Because here's the thing, though. If arcades got big again, that's a weird question because, like, okay, for example, we have Round One. Round One, every time I go in there, is packed. But it's packed for different reasons. For when we were coming up, arcades were packed because of fighting games, some of the beat 'em ups, and the racing games. That was the reason, like, anytime an arcade was packed, there was usually those 3 different types of games that were being played. Nowadays, it's your DDR machines, it's your instrument, like drum mania type stuff, those types of things, or games of chance, or a couple of those like light up games, or even mobile games like Fruit Ninja being brought to an arcade game. Flappy Bird is an arcade game now. I mean, so it's like arcades have evolved to a point that I personally don't really like.
I don't like going either.
It's the casino for kids now.
Yeah,
it is. When I was at Dave and Buster's,
yes.
It's literally casino for kids, and I
don't like it.
Fun.
I don't like it. Honestly, the only thing that I liked at round 1 when I went was that one area where they had all the sit down fighting game machines.
Yeah,
like where they had,
the candy cabinet style. Where
Yeah,
it's
basically,
like, you sit on one side, your opponent's on the opposite side.
Yep.
So when you
I
get challenged,
love those. Yeah,
which is cool. Tony Young is saying Telltale game cabinets with built-in stools and benches.
Dude, you can see that in a bar.
Yeah,
of course.
People sitting there drinking, smoking.
Yeah,
they could do something like that, but no. Oh goodness, like, I mean, I've seen Injustice, the mobile game, in the arcade. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like some of the stuff that they have.
Right. Yeah.
The turtle. I was pissed. I was at like an arcade with Big Pimp and Jay when I went to Chicago first time after he had moved there.
Mm-hmm.
We found an arcade not too far from him, and it was just like first thing I saw from the arcade was turtles. So I was like, oh damn, they done went and did it. They thinking they upgraded the Turtles arcade machine. It's the Nickelodeon Turtles franchise. Basically, mobile game style play. I'm like,
it's a beat 'em up though, right?
It's imagine a beat 'em up where you're not like, because you know how in Turtles you played, you actually hitting the buttons going through, and not really.
Because I saw one that was a beat 'em up, but you still hit the buttons. Like the controllers were all like the colors of the turtles, but they looked like marbles, and you still had to press it. It reminded me of that. But it was supposed to be more flashy. I don't know if it's the same one.
It's the same one, but it was super simplified.
So essentially, we're saying there are no console games that would fit neatly into the arcade mold now.
No, not really.
Not the way they're made now.
Because they got Halo Arcade. You see that one?
Yeah. Well, no, I've played that one.
Yeah.
I've actually beat that one.
DL King says Call of Duty could be a big connected arcade system with versus and first person shooting. I mean, that could be cool. Like if they did it with a VR element.
If it was VR. See
that'd be expensive.
That's where I think that's where the issue becomes.
Yeah,
is because it's like people are so acclimated now to sitting in front of their own setup, their way. To bring it back to a standardized, the arcade is the arcade. You'd have to go back to remember when we went to Dave and Buster's years ago, and they had that Robotech simulator.
Yes, I love
They would
that
have
thing.
to go to. I'm sorry, it was
not
Mech
Mech Warrior.
Mech Warrior.
Yeah, it was Mech
They had
Warrior.
that Mech Warrior simulator. They'd have to get to that level of that level of playability, that level of that okay, you can play online or do whatever. If you do that. Yeah, like Phantom Mega, you're exactly right. If you had a Veritech game, that Max in.
Dude, I've been dreaming of the day they do something like that.
But here's the crazy thing: they actually probably could.
Yeah, they probably
It's
could.
just what arcade? First of all, you don't have arcades to bring it out to.
Right.
Second, who's gonna pay for that? Who's really truly gonna because going back to the heyday of arcade machines, the most expensive arcade machine, one of the two most expensive arcade machines, was the Sega R360 and the Sega Coliseum. Those were the two most expensive arcade machines that ever came out, with the exception of virtual reality, because virtual reality I think came out at $100,000 a pop. So, and Sega Coliseum was $60,000. I literally have only in my entire lifetime only seen two places that actually have that. One is Gallop and Ghost because they have damn near everything, and then the other one was Tilt Arcade at Lakeside Mall when they still existed. So. Arcade owners ain't. First of all, there's no arcades anymore. But even if there were,
nobody's coming.
Who's gonna fork over that much money to get what's going to get people out of their homes?
Honestly, with every time you go to Gallop and Ghost, it's packed, right?
Yeah.
So, there's got to be something that would hook people from coming.
Galloping Ghost's business model works though. It's go in there, pay $20, play everything for as long as you want for that day. You can even leave and come back. That business model kills it because it's
does.
like even if, let's say for example, the average if it's us, man, we gonna be in there all day.
Yeah.
We gonna get our 20
all day long.
No, it doesn't matter. You can go down to the bar down the street, go eat and come back.
Because dude, I had to go to the airport. I came back 3 hours later.
Yeah,
Rihanna came with
so
us.
you know
So,
we're gonna get our money's worth because
Right.
we're gonna be like, dude, I'm playing this, I'm playing this, I'm playing
Yep.
this. All right, let's go get something to eat, and we're going back.
And yep.
The average person won't do that. The average person will be like, they'll pay their $20, they might get an hour out of it, or maybe 2.
That's dumb to me. But
Hey,
yeah.
it is, but again, not
It's
everybody's
making
wired
money.
that way
Yeah.
though. For us, we're going back hitting games that we used to play all the time, finding new stuff that we had never seen before or just heard of and never, got a chance to play. So that type of business model works for us. 6-player X-Men, like Eddie Johnson, Eddie in the chat is saying, is
made you want to go to
it
the
made
arcade?
yeah, it made you want to go
It
because
did,
you
yeah.
can't play that anywhere else.
Right.
At the time, you definitely couldn't.
Nope.
And definitely not 6 players.
Right.
Not 6 players, not double screen, all of that stuff. Turtles. I remember plenty of times being
dude.
the only person playing Turtles. The next thing you know, oh, Leonardo's joined the game. Oh, Raphael's joined the game. Oh, so it's just like that's how it used to be.
Yeah. I miss those days. I really do.
You can't do that nowadays because the game. I hate to say it, the game has changed.
Yeah.
DBL King, 100%. I agree with you. I saw X-Men versus Street Fighter. I was in love from that point. I remember walking into Tel 12 Mall, which was Main Street Arcade, and that game was just there. I'm like,
What is this?
like, wait, what?
What is this? X-Men versus Street
Well,
Fighter.
right now. Wait, I
Right.
can pick
I'm
2
playing
people
right
up?
now.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
that game was, I remember. But
Dude, and then you saw Rogue was in there. And
Right.
You was just like,
it was like
Rogue and Gambit are in this
right.
game?
It was like being surprised
Yeah.
by stuff. Just we're in an age now where nothing comes as a surprise anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. no.
People are more apt to stay home and do whatever it is. So it's like arcades need the only way an arcade could get popular again is it'd have to be on the level of GameWorks. The way GameWorks had those
tiers.
that one I think it was like 3 or 4 stories game where like you're playing a hot air balloon.
Oh,
shooting
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
And the game
Yeah.
would literally raise you up
It'd be
30
like
feet in
like
the
an
air.
amusement ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that made you want to go to GameWorks to play because it's like, okay, where else am I going to experience this? Nowhere. Nowhere. Period.
DBL King says he went to State Fair Bowling Alley with his grandma every Friday night. Dude, I was raised in a bowling alley too. Every Friday night, it was multiple bowling alleys because when my parents were together, they bowled together, and we were at the bowling alleys together. But when they got divorced, I was either with my mom at a bowling alley or my dad at the bowling. It was more like my dad at the bowling alley. And even when I couldn't get money to play the farting video games, you know where I was at? Still watching other people play because that's where you needed to be. Most
Yeah.
definitely.
Absolutely.
X-Men Arcade remake, man. Disney is probably
wish.
not going to let that
Yeah.
happen.
I
Beat 'em up
wish.
games nowadays, if they aren't taken care of like people who actually care about the series, it's gonna be like a mobile beat 'em up game. It's just
Yeah.
not gonna be there. It's not gonna be that good. And that's why I'm still hoping that Streets of Rage 4 is gonna be good because just part of me is afraid. I'm part
Yeah.
of
Wait,
me, like,
what? Marvel vs. Capcom mini cabs. That one's new. Are you sure it's not Marvel superheroes? Are you sure that's not the one you're talking about, Tony?
Yeah, that's got to be.
Because
the one
I have
I'm
the
talking
Marvel
about.
the Marvel superheroes one, which also comes with Punisher and X-Men: Children of the Atom. But if
Yeah.
they've suddenly just dropped Marvel vs. Capcom,
Yeah.
that might be worth buying.
Yeah.
Especially if it came with Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Because that game was just fun.
I got to get my hands on that again somehow.
Yeah,
Like
it
I
was
don't play my
definitely Marvel
Xbox 360 anymore.
superheroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the one I have. I have that one in the Mortal Kombat machine, and also Asteroids, but Asteroids
Yeah.
I never put together.
All right, y'all. We're almost 5 minutes over. That was a great segment.
Of course,
Great,
man, 'cause
great
the
segment.
people, when
Yeah.
the people speak, man. It's,
Yes.
it's awesome.
Yes, the people running the show that was actually pretty good. So we're gonna get to the main event, the main event of the evening.
The main event.
GQ.
Well, I can't really see myself at the moment, but
Ding,
I know
ding,
I look
ding.
good. So, they held a very, very interesting event over this weekend. It was WrestleMania 36th anniversary of WrestleMania, and it was very unique.
to say the least.
We'll never see anything like it
That's
ever again.
all I can say.
Yeah.
2 nights of WrestleMania, that was hilarious. I got the shirt. You can't really see it under this belt, but that's all right.
Yeah. First of all, 2 nights.
2 nights
Two
was
nights.
Here's the thing that I thought was really, really smart of them. The shirt that I bought the shirt because I saw it when they advertised it. I'm like, I gotta buy that because the shirt literally says WrestleMania, blah blah blah, Tampa, Florida, blah blah blah. The 2 different dates, and on the back, if I can spin around real quick,
Do a
literally
Spanaroni.
says-
I wasn't there.
So to me,
That's funny.
That's
me,
cool.
that is what made it like. I'm like, dude, when are they ever going to bring out a shirt again that says I wasn't there? So
Oh,
to me,
that's cool.
That's almost as cool as like if you were able to get a hold of like the losing team's Super Bowl champion shirt. Like that to me is just like it's unique. It's cool. So it's smart. DBO Kink, I'm with you 100%.
The Underbiker is back.
Yes.
Oh,
the American Badass Taker
Yeah.
is back.
Had no. Now I'm going to get into that because
Yeah,
I
go ahead,
understand
go ahead.
you guys didn't watch either night or
Yeah,
anything.
no.
I didn't see it.
I couldn't
Okay.
see it. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I watched it just because it was like again, it's on the network. You can watch it whenever. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to have people talk about it. I want to just watch it while it's on, so
Right.
that way I can just see it. But it was hilarious to see. And again, they're professionals. I get it, but it's so funny to see them come down that ramp doing their, what would be their normal WrestleMania intro, and it's like,
were they
dude,
gesturing to a crowd that wasn't there?
Right,
Oh,
hell
no.
yeah, dude. Because your body becomes like so used to doing that, I guess.
Oh,
so
man.
it's like they doing and I had talked about this with I think I talked to you guys about it this past Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, a
where it
little
was
bit.
just like literally being able to hear everything in the ring is the weirdest, most surreal thing because like normally the crowd, the roar of the crowd covers up some of the stuff you wouldn't, you would think about. Like you could hear the ref clear as day. I'm like, this is so weird. Like normally you never hear what the ref says. It's just weird. Then when they were doing the ladder match, here's the other funny thing. Because of social distancing, they did a three-way, it was supposed to be three teams. It's supposed to be a triple threat ladder match. So it was supposed to be New Day, which is Kofi Kingston, Biggie Langston, and what is that other guy's name? I can never remember his name. Anyway,
Xavier
somebody
Woods?
thank you, Xavier Woods. You know how they did the Freebird rule, so two of them out of the three will wrestle. And then it was Johnny Nitro is John Morrison or whatever is teamed up with somebody else, and then of course the Usos. Now social distancing made it so instead of being a triple threat tag team match, it was just one representative from each team doing a ladder match, and it was the weirdest thing because it's like, okay, it's just basically a triple threat ladder match. It is what it is. I get it, and the match was
So
good.
none of the others
No,
participated.
they were in the locker room apparently.
What?
So it was
Wait,
literally
so it was one person fighting
one
for
person
the
for
belt.
No. Both belts were suspended above the ring, but it was literally one member representing, one member from each team representing their team. And again, here's the crazy thing. It pisses me off because the match they put on was so good. I would have loved to have seen like, okay, if you did this with everybody, it would have been that much. It would have been a great match. And then you get to Charlotte wins the NXT title, so she's like an 11-time champ. I'm like, dude, are you just trying to get her to pass her dad?
Yeah.
It's like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
She she destroyed Trish Stratus's. Trish Stratus used to have the record. I think
Yeah.
it's 7.
Oh, wow.
She came in, for WrestleMania as a 10-time women's champion. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
But NXT though, I thought NXT. I thought NXT was supposed to be like the minor leagues, and then
Here's the thing with that. NXT. Remember how Triple H was running NXT?
yeah.
A lot of people felt that Triple H was running it the way the show needs to be run. Because, again, he's a wrestler, so he gets, the psychology of listening to the crowd, making storyline changes when you need to, all that sort of thing. Finn Balor is actually in NXT. And Finn Balor was, like, big time.
Yeah.
So, but I think the thing is, the idea is to keep their ratings up, you need those experienced people to get in there and work with the younger talent. I get it from that standpoint of... Like, for example, Samoa Joe was brought into NXT first. We already know Samoa Joe. Same with AJ Styles is the only one that didn't go to NXT before he hit the main show. Samoa Joe was of that caliber. He could have easily just went straight to the main show.
Yeah.
But they were like, it's better to have somebody like Joe who's been on the road, done this for years, to be in there working with those younger cats, trying to get them up to speed a little bit better than just... Okay, yeah, we got this guy that could come in and really be a good, fit for like getting all these people used to, working the big time, and we just send him right to the main show. So it was smarter to leave Joe in NXT for a little while, then call him up, because again, it's like if you have like a highly trained actor, and he goes to like a camp to work with like a bunch of young actors. He's going to do a heck of a lot better teaching them than like some guy that went to theater school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's kind of that same type of feel. So so going back to that, so for whatever weird reason, she's the NXT champion now. So it's like, how many y'all just throwing belts at her, man?
So Marcus Smith brought up something that says, so when do you discuss the acid trip that was the Firefly Funhouse?
Oh, no, we'll get to that because that was night 2.
Okay.
We got to get through night 1 real quick. All right. Night 1's main event was the Undertaker versus AJ Styles match. I'll get to that in just a moment. I'm going to get back to the Goldberg versus Braun Strowman match for the Universal title.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Picture this. I'm gonna do it like Sophia on Golden Girls. Picture it. Orlando, Florida. And that's, where's the Performance Center at? It's in Full Sail. Isn't that wherever?
Yeah.
Picture it. WWE Performance Center 2020. Goldberg rolls in, does 3 spears. No. Was it 3 spears? He did 4 spears. Okay, here's what he does. He comes in, does his usual, and the funny thing is to see him do his entrance, his regular entrance, coming from the locker room, them knocking on the door, walking. I'm like, dude, nobody's here. Why do you have security?
Right.
Walk your old ass out to the ring. Do your thing, man.
Social distancing. You didn't have any security.
Right, exactly. I'm like, dude, you're putting them at risk. But anyway, so it's like, so Goldberg comes out to the ring. Does his usual thing. No, they smoke up the arena, whatever. Braun Strowman, he's out. I've always liked Braun Strowman. Dude is enormous. He's like 6'7", 6'8", like 390 pounds or something. Dude is huge. And it's like, you believe if he knocked over a wall, is believable. So anyway, Braun Strowman, takes his first spear, gets right back up because that's his thing. It's like, dude, it's like this little stuff ain't gonna really hurt me.
Right.
Second spear puts him a little bit more hurt. You're getting like dizzy stars and whatnot. Third spear, Goldberg tries to pin him, kicks out at 2. Okay, well, damn. All right, this might be something. Goldberg goes back into 3-point stance again, and is like, okay, I'm gonna spear him one more time. So he spears him, gives a signal for the jackhammer. So he's going to pick him up for the jackhammer, finish him off. Braun Strowman slips out of that. 1 power slam, 2 power slams, a third slightly running power slam, pin, the match is over.
Jeez.
It was literally
a Goldberg match.
Yes.
In reverse.
In reverse, exactly. But here's what pissed me off about it. I'm just like, okay. And again, Goldberg's old. I get it. He's never been a, he does, as they say, he does not work by the hour. He's in there to just boom, and we're done. Then you get into like, okay, whatever. Then you get into the very theatrical Undertaker versus AJ Styles match, which was obviously heavily pre-recorded, heavily edited. So, I mean, it was just like it was literally like watching a cinematic match.
What somebody said, something about WrestleMania put on the best wrestling movie we've ever seen.
Yeah. And the thing is, the match was cool. Like they did this, the boneyard. Okay, it was called a boneyard match. Basically, it was a graveyard match. They fought in a quote unquote graveyard.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right. So you have AJ Styles roll up. He's calling Taker out. Taker comes in, and like was said in the chat, American Badass, wearing all black. It looked sweet though. Like what he had on actually looked pretty cool. He had like this. It wasn't really leather. It was like a denim vest with like his symbol in the back on leather, and that looked sweet. But anyway, it was that, and he was beating him like it was that old man beating the hell out of the young man with ass whooping. It was literally that type of ass whooping.
Old man strength. Yeah. Okay.
It was cool. And they went a little bit over the top on some of it. It's like, okay, like AJ's boys were there, and Taker takes him. It's like, dude, all right. And then like some fake druids come out. It's just like, okay. Now y'all are getting a little bit whatever. So, of course, Taker wins, extends his
new
record.
streak.
Yeah, it's a record, whatever. Sorry, so that's night 1.
Undertaker is going to wrestle till he's literally in his coffin.
I think he will, man, and it scares the hell out of me because I want that man to retire. I have too much respect for enjoying him over these years to see him be like, dude, remember him win.
What do you think what DBL King said?
About Death of Kayfabe is her wrestling? Yeah. I agree 100% on that because here's the thing. When we were kids, yes, we knew it didn't have that feeling of being fake because it was like you saw it, it must be real. Like when Jake put the snake on Macho Man, you sitting there watching it like, dude, okay, maybe the snake doesn't have fangs, but he's getting bit by a cobra right now. That's crazy. So, and then you couldn't tell me at that point that Jake the
it wasn't
Snake,
real.
right? Not even just the real part. You couldn't tell me at that point that Jake the Snake and Macho Man ever hung out,
Bro.
You couldn't. I was like,
Macho
no,
Man
these two hate
was
each other. Skip that.
Terrified. He
Of
was
course.
absolutely terrified.
Of course, but it's like, but to me, it's like back then, the way it was portrayed and presented, you could not have told me that those two guys after this would have went out and had a beer and be like, yeah,
Oh,
that was
absolutely
great.
not.
You know?
No,
It was
no,
like,
no,
these
no.
guys hate each other. Skip that.
Yeah,
no,
no.
they, just it's all real. So, and it would have felt like that if Instagram, social media, and all that stuff didn't come along. Now, yes, they broke kayfabe a long time ago with the whole curtain call thing in Madison Square Gardens with Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, and Kevin Nash when they all came out and hugged because Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were going to WCW. But that was just kind of like, okay, well, these guys have been on the road up and down. They're just saying goodbye to their boys. That wasn't, for me, that wasn't the death of kayfabe. It was just, these guys are leaving. We've run up and down the road together. We're saying goodbye. But now it is literally, you see heels and faces, bad guys and good guys, hanging out together, going on vacation together. It's just like, back in the day, in the territory days, it was like, no, Junkyard Dog is in this territory, and like Cowboy Bob Orton is in this territory. They do not hang out. They ain't friends. They hate each other. It's like you believe that because that's how they presented it. It was literally like, you don't break character, period. And now it's just like, like DBO King said, you got reality shows about wrestling. The Bellish have their show. And if you ever see an episode of that show, all the women wrestlers hang out together. And again, it is what it is. Yeah, and I get it, but it's like, okay, y'all are trying to play this storyline of you don't like each other, but y'all over here drinking mimosas and having pedicures. And it's like,
Yeah.
All right, so real quick, just so I can wrap it up, because I know we're running your time.
Yeah.
Running your time. Here's the funny thing. I'm going to move just through right to the important stuff as far as the rest of WrestleMania. You have the match that everybody's waiting for, Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre, who 17 years ago was the quote-unquote chosen one by Vince McMahon, and it didn't really work out. Anyway, here's how the match plays out. Got Paul Heyman doing his thing. He comes out with Brock first, which was unusual. I think he came out. I don't remember. Whatever. Anyway, here's how the match goes. Brock goes for a suplex and gets the suplex. Drew gets up, goes for another suplex. Drew gets up.
Suplex City, huh?
Does his Claymore kick, which is his finisher, knocks Brock down. Oh, okay. Yeah. Got a little bit of offense going. Does another Claymore kick. And then a third and a fourth Claymore kick pins him into the match. So it literally was the exact same blueprint of that Braun Strowman versus Goldberg match. It was literally the exact same match. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like, y'all are really taking advantage of the fact that there's no crowd, because y'all would have got booed.
Yeah, buddy.
Like, boo.
Like, get out of here.
Hand of Omega, that snake was real. You got to watch. Look up the Joe Rogan interview with Jake the Snake.
No. Damien was real.
No, Damien was the python. The cobra was something else.
Oh, the cobra was something else. Oh,
the
yeah,
cobra
yeah.
was
But no, Jake didn't use fake snakes.
Hell no.
Yeah, no, he didn't use fake snakes.
Yeah.
Those were real.
Yeah, that was straight up real. Like, look, there's an interview with Jake the Snake where he basically tells the entire story. It's actually hilarious. That story is absolutely hilarious.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
I saw something floating on our Culture Junkie Nation about John Cena turning heel and NWO. What was that all about?
Okay, that was the other theatrical match. That was the John Cena versus The Fiend. Now, I thought it was going to be a match. You know, like a straight up, we're going to wrestle, we're going to do our thing. It was basically Bray Wyatt, who is also known as Husky Harris, which is which was a.
I mean, how many names this dude got?
Well, no, he came because he was part of the original NXT. When they had the Nexus and all that other stuff, and he was one of the guys that came in, and his character at the time was Husky Harris, bigger dude or whatever. In all honesty, his real name I think is something Rotunda. He is blah. IRS's son, along with Bo Dallas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has 2 kids, and they're both wrestlers.
Nice.
But so he, as Husky Harris, it wasn't working out. He was a jobber basically. So they sent him away for a little while, back to NXT or at the time the developmental. Dude, get work on your gimmick. Get something together. He comes back as Bray Wyatt, and then there's the rest is history. Blah blah blah. So now was gone for a little bit and came back as the Fiend. The Fiend is essentially almost like, remember how Finn Balor had the demon? The Fiend is basically just a weird, twisted horror version of that for Bray Wyatt.
Is that a mask that he's wearing?
Yeah, it's a mask. Yeah.
Does he wrestle with that mask on?
He does. And it's really. But here's the funny thing. This particular thing was a mind trip. It wasn't even a match. It was literally Bray Wyatt. It was out there torturing John Cena and taking him through his entire history of being John Cena. And he even threw a few twists in there about, like you said, turn heel, go to the NWO side. I was just like,
yeah.
Like, dude, whatever. John Cena's a part-timer now.
Yeah.
Don't try to put him in any storylines. It was weird. And that's all I can really say about it. It was weird. And No Hand of Omega is not a fake snake. It was, again, you probably found it censored because it's a snake attacking a guy on national TV.
Yeah.
So.
They didn't want to frighten the children.
Yeah.
They didn't want to frighten the children.
Exactly.
Think of the children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love the story of that though. Like how like Macho Man was paranoid as all get out about like dude.
He was freaking the hell out.
No. It's not so much that. Again, it's a snake biting you. So I mean, it's like you're gonna feel some kind of way about it.
Yeah.
But the story of how beforehand of how because again, Macho Man was a paranoid guy. Period. Anyway, he was always paranoid about various stuff. But to hear Jake tell the tale of like how okay, real quick, I know we're going way over. You guys deserve it because it's quarantine and you need some extra entertainment. He tells the story of like, he's like, and you know how Jake talks. Jake got that real low, almost raspy voice, So it's like, he's like, so I go into the locker room and Macho Man's in there, Randy's in there, and he's Jake, come over here, man. Just come over here for a second.
Macho Man's voice really good. He really does.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
Freaking amazing.
He's
really
like,
Jake,
does.
He's like, Jake, I need you to come over here for a second. So we're gonna do this thing, but I need you to know, is the snake fixed? He's like, Randy, what the hell are you talking about fixed? He's like, you know what I'm talking about fixed. So it's like, he's telling him that like, look. And then when you defang a snake, they didn't defang him because he still needed his teeth. Because we all know when a cobra bites you, he bares his fangs. But what they do is they cut out the venom sacs and then fill them in with silicone so they cannot grow back. Because again, if you just cut them out and leave it, eventually they'll grow back, and he's gonna bite you and probably kill you. So essentially, So again, that's how his snake was handled. So he's like, well, maybe he is and maybe he ain't, but I'm going to need you to do something for me. I'm going to need you to let the snake bite you. And Jake is like, dude, he's like, are you kidding me? No, I'm not kidding. I need you to let the snake bite you, and I need to see, because maybe the snake's fixed, maybe it isn't, but it'd be real convenient if all of a sudden Macho Man Randy Savage gets bit, dies from some poison, and he won't be the Intercontinental Champ no more. It's like, dude, that is so. And it's like when he's telling the story, you can picture every bit of it. It's like, this is exactly what I picture these two sitting in the locker room having this discussion before he pulls out the daggone, snake on live TV.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he's just like, so I let, it's like, all right, fine. So he gets the snake out, lets it bite. He's like, no, let him bite you on the arm, and I want to see it. He's just like, dude,
I don't want to see it.
He's like, I want to see it. It is like, don't be turning around. Don't go to your bag and take no antidote. I need to see it. I'm like, okay, so it's like, so he lets the snake. He's like, where do you want me to bite? He's like, so I'm thinking on the leg. So he lets the snake bite his leg. He lets the snake bite his, for real. Like he lets the snake bite his leg.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. So I guess it's all right. I guess we're good. He's just like, and so Jake is pissed because it's like, and he says it. He's like, look, it's one thing if the snake, if you're already hyped up on adrenaline and he bites you. Your adrenaline will kind of kick in and kind of dull the pain.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's one thing for that, but he's like, nah, I let the snake bite me cold. Like, just bite into me. So it's like, it hurts more because you're not, hyped up.
Yeah.
So, so they, so watches, he's satisfied. So they go out there and Jake's like, oh, this mother effer, I'm about to get him back. So he says, when the time comes, he like grabbed the snake out the bag. And then like he kind of was like, he's like, you all right, here it comes. You got to get ready. And Macho's like, because remember he's supposed to be tied up in the ropes and everything. So he's like, all right, I'm good. He's like, he's ready to go. So Jake is like, all right. So what I did was I turned my back real quick and smacked the hell out of the snake to piss him off. Mm-hmm. And then he brought the snake back over to, because it's like and the thing is, when you watch it back.
I remember seeing him turn the back.
He was trying to because he pissed them off. Mm-hmm. And so the snake was ready to lay in whatever he got close to. So he's trying to, he gets him on him and it's just like, he's like, yeah, you're doing great, kid. So he's just messing with it because he knew the snake was going freaking crazy. So... I mean, it's like, and again, I will do my best version of it, but you got to see Jake do it.
Yeah,
you got to hear Jake do it.
Speaking of that, Marcus Smith is like, go look up Hand of Omega. Go look up the Dark Side of the Ring episode about Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth, and Jake brings up this story.
Oh
yeah. So
Macho Man was, and again, loved the guy. Always loved the guy. Cream of the Crop is the best promo ever.
YL's a trip. YL was like, snake knowledge +1 after tonight.
Exactly. So Macho Man, I love the guy. Like he was one of my favorite wrestlers back in the day, for real.
Tony O says you're a closet Steve Irwin, by the way.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
But no, he was insanely, famously paranoid about just various stuff. And again, I get it because back then wrestling was a very cutthroat business. It's like, you look, if you were champ, you had to do everything you could to stay champ, like to stay relevant, to stay on top, basically. So now him thinking that Jake was going to poison him with a cobra is a little bit excessive, but I mean, like, hey.
It makes you wonder, what did Bruno Sammartino do for all them years to stay on top? Like,
Bruno was just that guy, man. I think
like,
it was the same. It was the same thing with like Gorgeous George and the original Nature Boy. Like, they were just so popular and so just well loved. This is like, again, it's that fan. It's the same reason Daniel Bryan actually got a push because the fans just got behind him.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep booking against what the people want? You're not going to have any people left if you keep that up.
Right.
And I think, Vince, go ahead, man.
No. Because I was just looking up stuff, and I don't know why Bobo Brazil popped into my head. So
I remember Bobo Brazil.
Yeah, apparently he was WWF United States champion 7 times and held the belt a combined time of 4,000 days. Mm-hmm. I'm like, how long is 4,000 days? That's like what?
Seems like a long time.
That's like over 10 years.
That's over 10 years.
Yeah.
Bruno held it for a ridiculously long time.
Yeah, he did.
Back in the day when we were kids, we thought Hogan just had it.
Right.
Like, it just seemed like Hogan just, because again, time felt different when you're a kid. So like Hogan, I think only had it for the longest in a consecutive run, maybe a year. But it felt like 6 years.
It did.
You know what I'm saying?
It really did. It felt like the majority of my childhood, Hulk Hogan was champion.
Right.
But Grillo used to always talk about Bruno Sammartino, and I was like, oh, who is this Bruno Sammartino guy that he keeps talking about?
Right.
But Grillo would talk about him in such legendary tones.
But he was,
you
though,
know?
because if you truly compare it, and here's the thing, and I know we're running way over, but here's the thing. Going to back to the wrestling thing, well, we're on the wrestling thing, obviously, but no, going back to the belt, the time thing. The fact that Hogan felt like it was so long is because Hogan always had it for WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. And what other pay-per-views that we actually have
At the time, none.
At the time, you had Royal Rumble, SummerSlam. You had
but
the
those
Big Four.
didn't come until later.
No. Yeah, they did. Well, they came later.
Well, Royal Rumble
like,
was first. SummerSlam didn't start till it was like 1988, 1987?
Somewhere in there.
Yeah,
88,
like
maybe even 86.
Yeah.
And then Survivor Series was there because that's where Taker debuted in 1990.
That's true.
So
yeah.
So there was always the Big Four, but realistically, from what we had access to, WrestleMania was the main one that you always got a chance to kind of maybe see or get on, Coliseum home video.
Yeah, because dude, he wasn't coming on like local the house shows on local TV.
He was on Saturday.
Hogan was never
he was on Saturday Night's main event a few times.
Yeah,
and then like maybe Superstars, but it was always a jobber match.
Right.
It was always like, okay, Hulk Hogan versus Jerry.
It was so rare to see him, so it just made his legend grow even more.
So it felt like he had the belt all the time, and he didn't. That's what was so crazy about it.
Okay.
So
it's interesting stuff. So obviously, if you like wrestling topics, want to hear more wrestling topics, keep throwing them at us because GQ got it all. Apparently.
Tony Young said y'all have a sleepover in the Nexus. He's crazy. No. We can't. See? Hold on.
Series,
Marcus Smith, are you saying WrestleMania, Survivor Series, SummerSlam? Are you saying in order of what you like watching?
When they came out, or when they came out? Is that what you're saying?
He might be saying when they came out.
Royal Rumble came out way before SummerSlam.
Well, Royal Rumble was always held at the beginning of the year. And the other crazy thing is, a lot of people have said the Royal Rumble wasn't even like Vince McMahon's idea. Like they had Royal Rumble matches before Vince, coined it as the Royal Rumble.
It wasn't a full pay-per-view. It was always
of course not. Yeah, it was a match. It was a match type basically.
Yeah,
I guess.
I do remember the first time I ever watched a Royal Rumble. Okay, I thought it was just.
He's saying when they came out, so he's saying it was WrestleMania first, Survivor Series, SummerSlam.
Okay, so you know what? Technically, he's probably right because, like we said, Royal Rumble matches were within other pay-per-views, and like I was just.
Well, no. Royal Rumble is a different type of match type because you have Battle Royals where everybody's already in the ring.
Right.
Then you had Royal Rumbles where they come out, one by one throughout time. So, but that match type was not invented by Vince McMahon or even the WWF.
I just remember the first time watching a Battle Royale Royal Rumble match. Just how, like, when all of them were in the ring at the same time, it was the most insane thing I had seen as a kid.
Oh yeah, that was essentially paycheck day.
Yeah.
for a lot of wrestlers, man. Like it was literally like you gonna get your screen time. You probably gonna get thrown out or whatever, but you still got your check because you were on TV. That's why it was so hilarious. Is like every single WrestleMania, for a little while, had started off with a battle royal. That was the pre-match. Mm-hmm. Because it was like you had the whole locker room, there for the show. Hey, you're getting your WrestleMania check, and again, it's and this is obviously before guaranteed contracts and all the stuff that WCW helped pioneer, but again, they're all contract workers, so it's like, look, man, you waited for WrestleMania to come around because that was a bigger check, and obviously if you were on the main card and if you were a Hogan or a Savage or something, you were obviously getting paid quite a bit more than everybody else anyway.
We should definitely do a wrestling topic about. And I know we always say we coined the phrase "nostalgia is a hell of a drug," but something about wrestling just ain't right for a lot of people. Like it's missing. I don't even want to say charisma, and maybe what you talked about, kayfabe being kind of like the mystique of it being real, even though it's not real, but the mystique of it being real, kind of may have ruined it. But it was like, we should definitely have maybe a deeper discussion about what makes wrestling, what is it lost that it's not as relevant as it used to be back in the day? Is it just the lack of charisma?
I think it is, just to touch on it, but not even break it all the way completely open. We grew up in the era of the bigger than life, wrestlers.
Yeah.
We had Hogan, we had Savage, we had, Zeus from freaking No Holds Barred, guest starring and whatnot. But then as we got older, wrestling started to change and get older with us. So that's when you got your Attitude Era and the whole Monday Night Wars. But that's when it was at its pinnacle, in my opinion. Now, granted, if I was a young
80s or Attitude Era?
Attitude Era.
Okay.
Attitude Era.
Yeah,
Because
no question.
think of it this way. If we were all kids now watching John Cena, that would be our Hulk Hogan, basically. I mean, again, you can't you frown it up.
I'm looking at it
because you have Hulk Hogan to compare him
Yeah.
to, but you know for a fact, if you were an 8-year-old kid, John Cena is your Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like that's just what it is. So we came up and we got it at the exact best moment. We got it at the moment when it was like Rock, Triple H, Taker, Kane, like all of those cats unleashed, doing what basically because they were trying to survive. So doing basically whatever they wanted to do to get eyeballs on the screen. And The Rock was always charisma, hilarious, dogging people out or whatever.
Stone Cold pretty much the same
Stone
way.
Cold was always, entertaining and fun to watch. Him and the McMahon going back and forth was insane. To this day, when he came up to him in the hospital and hit him in the
with
head
the
with that bedpan, dog, that is still to this day, like, that's so crazy that the boss let him do that because it was good for the show.
Yeah.
Even the invasion thing, Booker T and
Booker
Stone
T and
Cold
Stone Cold in the
the
freaking
grocery
grocery
store, dog. You don't get stuff like that.
I can tell you what kill wrestling.
Go right ahead.
It's not the killing of kayfabe. It's the killing of jobbers. Jobbers don't exist anymore.
That's true.
Everybody's a superstar, and that's what the problem is.
Okay.
That's true.
Because nobody has to fight anymore, basically, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, there's just nobody out there. Everything's a storyline, and there's nobody just wrestling. Everybody has a proper place, and you can only do so
Okay,
much.
yeah, because I get that. So YL even brought it up, right? He was like, the characters, the show, the theatrics today is just dudes in underwear. No more Doink, no more Goldust, no more Warrior, no more Tatanka.
Tatanka is a little bit insensitive nowadays.
I think
He
was
is kind of
native,
insensitive,
though.
but he was native.
He might have been one
but he
drop.
played up the stereotype.
Yeah, he played the hell out of the
Yeah,
stereotype.
he played up the stereotype. So we can't really do that. But I think you are right. Like there used to be those in-betweener matches where kind of a guy that hasn't quite caught on, doesn't really get any mic time, just comes to the ring, kind of shows out, puts on a good show. That's where he starts to get his burn because he's worked really hard, put on a really good match. We don't really have that anymore. Everybody pretty much has the contract, guaranteed contract, like you said, right?
That's a big part of it. But here's the other thing that and one of the he was a former WWE guy, Ryback.
I remember him. Yeah.
He was almost like everybody thought he was about to be the next Goldberg. One of the things he said, because he had a hard falling out with WWE, but one of the things he said made a lot of sense. It was, how am I supposed to get over if I'm booked to lose? You know what I'm saying? It was kind of literally like one of those situations of, I go out there, I work my butt off, but I lose because I'm the bad guy, or I lose because it's it's predetermined or whatever. It's like if I'm a loser in people's eyes, how is my merch going to catch on? How is this going to, So it's just like, it was like you're put in a weird space where it's like, okay, it's scripted. You're scripted to lose. How are you supposed to get over if you constantly keep getting scripted to lose? And it's like, and I get what he's saying to an extent. Now, granted, there's always going to be people that just transcend John Cena. People boo that man constantly, but his merch was still, even when he wasn't wrestling, his merch was still like number one selling stuff because kids love his stuff. Roman Reigns is where Vince is trying to push Roman Reigns into that spot, and
he tried hard.
It's not working.
And people will always smell out, someone that's getting that false push.
Yep.
They'll always sniff it out.
Oh yeah.
So they were like, no, we don't like this guy. Like Kurt Angle is one dude that I think overcame that by using the crowd's animosity against him to his advantage. because everybody, whenever he come out, it always be like the "you suck."
Well,
you suck.
you know who started that, right?
Oh yeah, Rocky.
No,
What? Who started?
Edge.
Edge started that.
Edge was the first one that did the "You Suck" sing along. He literally, because it was part of a promo he was cutting on him.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to the Attitude Era freedom of these guys are cut ups. Here's the thing. I've listened to Stone Cold's podcast. The reason Stone Cold is as popular as he is because he was out there. He was a worker. He does his thing. Everybody knows that. Stone Cold actually can wrestle, regardless of what the character does. You know, the man himself can wrestle because, again, you wouldn't be in the ring with other professionals if you couldn't do the job. If you couldn't, actually put the holds in and do the work. So, but they brought him in as the ringmaster. He had the $1 million belt that was given to him by $1 Million Man. It didn't work. It just wasn't working. It was just like, dude, I'm go out there, I put a match on, and that's it. And it's just like, other than that, he's like, there's no personality though. It's like, I'm just out there, with the I think his trunks were green or whatever, carrying, somebody else's belt, and I'm supposed to be the $1 Million champion. He's like, I don't have a personality though. I'm never talking. So that's when the Austin 316 thing came up. Was he went to Vince and was like, look, dude, I'm a good worker, but if I'm just out there amongst, because again, you got Taker, you got big dudes, huge guys, and it's just like, I'm like 6 foot, 1 or whatever the heck he is, and it's like, if you don't let me have my personality, how do I stand out? And he was just like, and Vince straight up told him, it's like, look, Steve, we love the stuff you're doing, but when you cut a promo on somebody, everybody in the back is laughing and cutting up, and it's like it's like the quote, the phrase is, you're popping the truck. So it's like, but if you're making the guys that do this run up and down the road 50 basically out of 365 a year, if you're making those hard asses who have lived this for all this time, if you are getting them to laugh and chuckle, if I'm, he's like, if I'm getting them to laugh and chuckle, what do you think the crowd is going to do?
Right.
And that's when that's
when his
the
mentality
light bulb went off. Yeah, that's when the light bulb went off. So it was just like, so Vince let him do what he was supposed to be, let him be him basically. And that's when you get Stone Cold, and that's where that that whole thing came from. So it was like, I think what you lack, and again, it's not everybody, because wrestling is so heavily scripted now.
Yeah.
It literally is like power, bullet points and script, scripted word and all this other stuff. And it's just like, when you have people that are brought up in that whole situation, how are you supposed to grow? Because somebody's writing your lines for you. Like Tony Young brought up, The Rock was booed when he started because he came in as the pushed babyface.
Yeah. He
came in as the,
here's
the next guy.
I still remember that. I remember watching him on Raw that first day, and I was like, who is this dude?
Yeah.
I was like, because he came down, he was smiling like, yeah, no.
Right.
I was like, dude. I was like, come on, man.
It was like, it was super cheese.
Yeah, cheesy.
And
never would I have thought that
and
dude would become my favorite wrestler ever.
Right. He got injured.
Yeah.
And then he came back, and joined the Nation of Domination, and the rest is history.
Right.
Because it was like, look.
Like, dude, when he picked up that mic
Yeah.
and went to town, I was like, dude, this guy is awesome.
Right.
I like this guy.
But because that was him.
Yeah.
It was just him being him turned up to 11 or whatever, whatever phrase you want to use. Same thing with Triple H.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
can't tell me that Triple H wasn't the best heel we ever saw going through it, because
his aristocrat days, I hated him. Just,
no.
just off GP.
But the thing is, he didn't even like that, because that's not him.
Yeah.
That's not how he is.
He was the DX Triple H was really him, right?
Yeah.
So
that
guy was cool. He was funny. I liked him.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was literally that situation of this guy, and he's so good at twisting the crowd to hate him. That was his job. Like, he was literally the best heel we had ever seen in wrestling.
Yeah.
Because everybody thought he was holding people down and this and that and all that. But it's just like, yeah, DBLK, when he cut the game promo, he was onto another level. Because it was like, look, I'm the best. Period, bar none. He just believed in himself like that, and it came across as arrogance, and it worked.
It worked.
So it's like, and I think you missed that by scripting some of these wrestlers. It's like, okay, Cena is the last of that era, and of the guys that are, AJ could probably do it too, because again, he's an older cat as far as being in the wrestling game. But Cena comes from the tail end of people talking trash off the top of their head.
They need to get back to
the
that.
crowd.
Honestly, they really
But
do.
the thing is, it's okay, but you've already brought up an entire generation that hasn't done it. That's the problem. Because even if you look at AEW, think about AEW and how they're built. AEW has a bunch of older wrestlers. You got Jericho. You got Cody Rhodes. He's younger, but he's obviously he's an old hand coming back from WWE days. These are guys, and again, his dad was Dusty Rhodes, so it's like
he's been in the business.
He's
forever.
the best talker in the world anyway.
Yeah.
So before he passed, so it's just like you have these guys that can kind of get in there and help school some of these younger guys coming in, but realistically, the way WWE is set up, everybody's coming up scripted. So how do you break that mold? You have an entire generation of talent that came up with scripts in their hands.
Yeah. No, I get it.
So
how none of them handle the mic?
Dude, yeah. Did you see that promo that Cena cut on Roman Reigns?
No, I haven't.
Dude, look that up. That promo got under Reigns' skin so bad he was ready to swing on Cena for real.
Oh yeah,
because again he went Attitude Era style promo on him.
Okay,
he grabbed the mic. It was like he was like, look, man, because Reigns was stumbling over trying to remember the script, and Cena was like, look, man, it's called a promo. One of these days you're gonna have to learn it. I'm like,
damn,
and he hit him, and it was like you could feel the crowd. You could hear a pin drop.
Okay.
Because it was
I'm looking
like,
that up when I
dude,
get home. For real. I'm looking that up when I get home.
He hit him with that. He was like, it's called a program. One of these days, you're going to have to learn how to do it. That's why I'm back here coming in again. I'm like,
oh, he hit all the buttons.
He hit him
all the buttons.
So hard with that. It was just like,
it's like, you supposed to be the face?
Right.
Okay.
It was like, and it's like, after that, what can you possibly say?
So essentially, the taking the bullies out of the schoolyard mentality for all these children has worked to the adverse effect for wrestling.
And again, I'm not even. It's not even so much a bully thing,
because this is basically cutting up in the schoolyard. That's pretty much what
it
promos
basically
are.
is. And JR and King, Tony Young is 100% right. We're the best. I loved Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon. That was another insanely great team. But JR and King, they were the announcers of our generation.
Yeah, they were
essentially.
Yeah.
But I honestly think at the same time that broke kayfabe. He was.
Punk was good at it too.
Oh, Punk was really.
Punk was
here's
great
the
at
thing.
it.
Punk was a great talker.
Yeah.
He was good in the ring. Mm-hmm. But that was it, though. And it's not taking anything away from him because I always enjoy watching him.
Yeah.
But he's found out when he went to UFC that it's like, okay, dude.
Right.
You are good
for this smoke.
You are good at scripted, not.
Right.
I wouldn't even call it fake because again, you can't fake gravity. But when it comes down to the fight game, you need at least another.
Literally,
year
it
of
seems
training.
like Lesnar is the only one that could do that.
Lesnar is a freak of nature.
Yeah,
Bobby Lashley did it too, though.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley did it. Oh yeah, I have to see some.
Yeah, he did. He didn't do UFC. He did the other. One of the other ones that was around. Strike Force or one of the other.
But because like Ronda, as much as hype as she got, she's really not that good at the wrestling part.
Because Ronda. Here's the thing with Ronda, in my opinion, it's hard to bring somebody in like that to be a quote unquote fake fighter. She is a killer in the ring. She armbarred pretty much all of her opponents within the first couple of seconds in her fights. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you found out just like Mike Tyson, you can't beyond that first round. She ain't really no good to you because it's like,
and she can't take a punch. Either.
Yeah, she really couldn't take a punch.
Can't take
but at
a punch
the same
either.
time, if you think about it, if you armbar everybody in 5 seconds, how are you going to get used to taking a punch?
Yeah,
because it's like it's literally you are doing an alpha counter every single time somebody throws a punch at you, you take them down and then like tap them
right?
out.
Yeah,
you don't have time to get good at taking a punch.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it literally. Hey, DBL King. Some of us actually went to that WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were at that WrestleMania in Toronto. That was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That was an amazing event. That was as cool as
he said the 18-year anniversary came around. The Rock and Hogan talked about the match. It was pretty cool. So was that a segment
that was Rock versus Hogan?
No, but was that is he talking about? Was that a segment that they had? They
No.
about it?
Oh, hold on.
It was online, YouTube. You can find
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'll have to watch that.
yeah, that I didn't see.
Yeah,
But no,
I'll have to watch that.
But no, it was that seeing that live was just awesome.
Yeah.
Like WrestleMania is one of those events that like you go to it, it's like, dude, this is freaking awesome.
Dude, we said
Even
we
if you
weren't
don't
gonna
like
get into it, and we spent another 20 minutes talking about it.
because it's easy to talk about.
Yeah.
and the chat is loving it.
Yeah, the chat is lovely. You're right.
Hey, Sharita Jackson brought up Rey Mysterio. Now Rey Mysterio is an anomaly because that man has had surgery 5 times in his left knee.
He should be a cyborg by now.
I think he is.
Yeah, he
cyborg
might
right
be.
now.
He might be. But anyway, like I said, we won way over.
Y'all deserve it. Y'all need
it's
it.
11:06.
Y'all need it.
It's been the COVID-19 quarantine, but we need to wrap it up at some point. Some people have to work tomorrow, right?
Gotta go sling them drugs.
Yeah, gotta go sling them drugs. Anyway, I gotta work too. Anyway, so we hope you've enjoyed your evening with us on episode 207 of Culture Junkies Live. Come back next week, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central for episode 208 of Culture Junkies Live. And make sure you follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter too, because we're trying to increase our presence there and find out the latest happenings on Culture Junkies Live for my boys Great Itakuji GQ. I'm sure we'll see you guys later.
Bye everybody.